Well, hello, everybody. I'm here. I just had to get my tea ready from the kitchen, and now I have it. Hello, it's tea time. How is everybody? Goodness gracious. It is Wednesday, my dudes. I feel like I've had a long day and I've hardly even done anything. I guess I did a lot of self care stuff this morning. I took a shower, I shaved my legs, I, you know, just trying to take a little moment for myself. I accomplished a lot yesterday, so I'm trying not to, let's be reasonable here. Happy Wednesday. Yes, indeed. Happy Wednesday. What's up, Drea? Hello, Viren. Have y'all been talking for a few minutes here? No, some of that's from last week. YouTube chat, though, good gracious. You in the YouTube chat are quite active today. We've got Jessica, who says it's 7 a.m. in Melbourne, Australia, 4 degrees C, 40 degrees F. Oh, goodness. Oh, yeah, well, it's winter, right? Yeah, it's like the deepest part of winter for you guys. Cool. And then did someone say it was like, yeah. Banana Brain says it's almost 100 degrees Fahrenheit in New England. Blah. In hospital recovering from hysterectomy. Congratulations, Dally. I'm assuming that if you're in my community, then you're probably trans, and that therefore you getting a hysterectomy is probably a positive gender affirming care move, or at the very minimum, like a medical necessity. So congratulations. Assuming it's not cancer. Yes, everyone liked the YouTube. That's very true. We're doing pretty okay right now. We've got 18 people in right now with 19 likes. I know sometimes people come in and they hit like and then the music takes too long and they're like later. I always do somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes of music at the beginning. I just feel like so the reason for that is because people do get push notifications, but sometimes push notifications don't happen until after the live stream has already started because YouTube is stupid. Or it goes out in waves. So some people get it early, some people get it right on time, some people get it a few minutes late. So I always give a few minutes at the beginning to, let people trickle in. It's 101 here in North Texas. Boo. Oh, confirm. Okay, so it was a medical and gender affirming, but there was no cancer. That's good. Glad. But yes, hello Dally, hello Ancom Jane, Banana Brains, Jessica. YouTube chat is bumping today. Made $37 on DoorDash. Nice. Oh yeah, I guess I technically did pose a question in the title of the stream. Can goths wear green? I feel like, okay, part of the reason why that's the title is that I've noticed that the more feminine and attractive I look in the thumbnail, the more clicks we get during the live stream. But not just cute and feminine, because it is also like it's cute and feminine, and the goth ones perform the best. So I don't know. I'm like, if I'm wearing a different color, I feel obligated to be like, look, you can still see the goth thing underneath, and like, let me comment on it, because for some reason that seems to be getting a lot of attention. So I don't know. At 101 degrees in North Texas, at least humidity is low at 20%. Yeah, I think, I don't know. I read before we moved here that it was less humid here on average. Like if, I don't know, if it's like raining, then it's less actively humid or something. Or like maybe because it's cooler and therefore there's less evaporation occurring. But my partner is convinced that it's like, that when it's hot here, it's even muggier than it was back home. I don't know. But to answer the question, goths come in all shapes and sizes, sometimes even colors, even if they might need some encouragement to reduce the saturation. Yeah. Oh, man. Today's tea is a green tea with carnation flower in it, because it's one of my blooming teas. It's what we're drinking right now. Nuvenol says, green is the color of the herb. Can weed-smoking girlfriends not be goth? Truly. And there's like pastel goth. I don't know. It's a whole subculture, and it's pointless to talk about because who is out here gatekeeping what goth is in this day and age? Like who's doing this? So just drink your fucking tea and chill out. Mm. So how has everybody's week been so far? There's the tea talk. Well, I mean, I pick up the tea. I feel the need to discuss it. Oh, don't forget, everybody. I'm gonna try not to forget until an hour into the stream today. But the box is back. You guys remember the box? The box. If we get to the stream donation goal today of $100, we will find out what's in the box. Do you want a little shake? No, you'll get a shake later. You'll get a little teaser shake later. Anyway, appreciate everybody hanging out. It's always fun. Okay, so what's been happening for me this past week? Alone in Winnipeg says I can't help. I'm a girly sundress kind of girl. I do love sundresses. I don't have any that really like fit very well right now because of I just gained some weight and like I've decided that I don't necessarily like the cut of a lot of my dresses. I say a lot of my dresses. I only have like 6 dresses. Working on the drinking tea and chilling out part. Do it. Do it. Although if I drink too much tea, I am now so caffeine sensitive because I don't drink coffee anymore. And I don't drink energy drinks. All I drink is tea. And a lot of the time that's herbal tea anyway. So I'm reaching that place now where if I drink too much green tea, a really strong green tea too late in the day, and I'm like staring at my ceiling when I'm trying to go to bed at night. Shirt plus skirt is better than dress. I mean, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish, okay? There is a lot to be said for the premise of getting railed in a sundress, okay? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I was on Skeptalk on Monday with Aaron Ra. I don't know how many of you here follow me on Takis or know about like my atheist activism that I'm somehow doing again. I didn't really expect to be doing atheist activism again, but I mean, anytime I'm on any show other than Takis on the line, all of our other shows are atheist oriented. So I'm like, oh, I'm doing atheist activism again. And it was fun. I love Aaron. He's very cool. He's just, you know, him and Matt are both just like old guys. And I'm cool with old guys. I've been friends with old guys plenty. The only difference really is that like Aaron is a metalhead. Like I feel like otherwise they're pretty similar people. So yeah, but it was fun getting to chat with him, and it's just like the callers that they get. It was a lot, right? And we were talking about this in the Discord server as well. If any of you aren't in the Discord server, there should be a link in the description on YouTube, and there's a link up here in the top on the website. But we were talking about it, and I mean, I've been thinking about this a little bit more too, and I talked privately with Ember about it a little. It's like, I've been on so far with Matt Dillahunty and Aaron Ra on other shows other than Takis, right? So here's what we do on Transatlantic Call-In Show. It's the Transatlantic Call-In Show, girl. We talk about trans issues, and a lot of those issues are rooted in science. And so I spend a huge portion of my time on Takis talking about concrete facts and biology and like evidence and things like that, right? And then I go on with Matt Dillahunty earlier this month, and it was like, I don't even remember. I can't remember any of the details, but the people just bring up like the craziest stuff. And that's something that the callers also had in common with Aaron Ra. So I'm going to start there. That was something that they have in common. And I think that it might be because Matt and Aaron attract the same kind of viewers to the show. Like it's a call-in show. Well, okay, not a certain kind of viewers, rather a certain kind of caller, right? So they call with very weird like super abstract concepts. That's one thing. And sometimes it's a lot of word salad. And a thing that I've especially noticed is that men call them, and I think that they want to have like a dominance game where they try to get one over, or they complain about being interrupted, and I'm like, yeah, because there's a power dynamic. I'm sorry, like this isn't. I should have said this to the guy on Monday this week. It's like, this isn't a formal debate. This is a call-in show. Like, basically, you're calling into a radio show where we have the power to mute you. We decide what the programming is. We decide if a call is taking too long. Like, we are running a show, hosting an entertainment show. So it's like, it's not a debate where you get equal time and where interrupting is like acceptable if you're a caller. Now, we allow interruptions sometimes, if the caller really wants to get a word in, but we reserve the right to interrupt our callers. And I understand that that is a power dynamic and that it's not fair. And also, it's not supposed to be fair. It's my call-in show. So anyway, so that is, I think that, yeah, people call in for Matt and Aaron and they're trolling or saying insane shit, like trying to provoke the guys into, like telling them to shut up or hang up on them or something. So it was a lot of fun, but so weird. The London prick was so sexist. Yeah, oh yeah, and it can be hard not to interrupt when there's a time delay. Yeah, even the hosts sometimes interrupt each other or talk over each other a little bit just because there's a delay even for us on our end. So yeah. Oh, Mabs, I hope you get home safe. Chilling at the hospital. Uh-oh. But yeah, so someone said the London prick was so sexist. There was a guy this is the guy who had the biggest dominance issue with Aaron this week. He was like trying to catch Aaron in a gotcha. Like, oh, you said he was stupid earlier, but now you've backtracked and you're saying that his arguments are stupid and that he's not stupid. And we both were like, what the fuck is the difference between saying someone is stupid and saying every argument they've ever made in their entire career is stupid? And we were talking, I don't even know who we were talking about. Some religious apologist, probably. I was just understanding like the conversation and not who we were talking about. So yeah, but it was really frustrating. And that guy was also, what did someone describe it in the Discord? Someone said in the Discord that sometimes the callers will try to appeal to the co-hosts, like kind and generous disposition to gang up on Matt or whatever. Like, so basically, or Matt or Aaron in this case. So Aaron was like interrupting this guy and being like, no, you don't. That's not true. No, you don't. And like, okay, yes, that's a little bit annoying, whatever. It's like, yeah, I probably would have not done that. But Aaron does this every week and he's got his style and it's whatever. I don't care. I'm along for the ride. And then the guy on the phone would be like, yeah, oh, I can't believe you're talking to me like this. That's so mean. Like, oh, Luxander, don't you think he's being harsh or whatever? I can't remember exactly what he said at any point, but basically trying to appeal to me and trying to get me on his side. And I'm like, no, I also think you're stupid. I'm just way more restrained about it. At one point on the call, I even said something that was rude. I can't remember what it was. I forgot it almost immediately. But I said it at the same time that Aaron said it. And then the guy tried to be like, no, you know what? I want to hear what Luxander had to say. And I was like, never mind. It was just rude. You can answer Aaron. Like, I'm just going to make fun of you. And at one point I was like, no, but please explain it to me. I don't understand why the point that you're making is relevant. And he was like about to go into it, but then Aaron cut in and they started going at each other again. It was very fun. Oh gosh. can't speak to the railing part. I simply find as a blocky trans woman that my shape looks better with the skirt shirt combo. Sure. Maybe if you're wearing a dress, a belt or a other waist kind of sash thing would be beneficial. Sometimes I wonder if it's a bit if it is a bit of flawed logic to counter extreme emotion with facts and logic. I often feel that bigots are simply not interested in those things. Yeah, I mean, totally. You got to take each caller as they come, and I don't know anything about the person aside from what they're saying in the conversation. So we do often get people to a point where it's like, okay, well, you just think this is icky and bad, and like, if you would just lead with that, we could have had a completely different conversation. Because they'll call, for us at least on Takis, they'll call in. I don't have Takis this week, by the way. I'm not going to be on. I don't know what the schedule looks like for August either. Yet we're still, we're gathering everybody's schedules for the month, and then Arden has to make the schedule. So I don't know about next week, but just so you know, this week I'm not on Takis. But on Takis, yeah, we have people call, and I'm like, ugh. They will often lead with something like, I feel weird about the sports thing. And then I'm like, okay, well, I can explain to you why this is not a problem. And then the problem is that, or more often, it's something like trans kids shouldn't have access to this medical care. And I'm like, here's why it's not a bad thing. Here's why it's a good thing. Here's why, regardless of whether you personally think it's a bad thing or a good thing, parents and their doctors and children should be allowed to make these decisions because this is America. Whatever. But it's often like we get deep enough into that conversation and we start going into other examples like, do you think kids should be allowed to do ballet because it permanently changes their bones in a way that can cause lifelong dysfunction and pain, like a way that lowers their quality of life? Like, should we not let 5-year-olds do ballet? And typically right around there, they start to go like, well, I actually don't think it's okay for anybody to gender transition. And I'm like, okay, if you had fucking led with that, this could have been a much more fruitful conversation. We could have actually gotten to the meat of the problem. You don't have a problem with children accessing this care. You have a problem with anybody accessing this care, but you have to begrudgingly say, I guess adults can do it if they want. I still think it's a bad thing and that they shouldn't, though. Like, you're two fucking completely different things. But even that is like easier to deal with in some ways than the callers that I had with Matt and Aaron. Because, man, for some of those, I was just like, wow, you really got me about the pineal gland and fucking Lorentz whatever and dark matter and shit. I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah. I just don't know what to say to that. I'm like, not sure if this person is actually like tossing out word salad on purpose to be a troll. If they're just like a conspiracy theorist, if they're just really high, or if they're having a psychotic break. Like, I did tell that guy, by the way, some of you in the Discord were like worried about one of the callers from this week. Dude, okay, hold on. I'm gonna finish my statement. He sounded to some of you in the Discord like he might be genuinely experiencing like a schizotypal maybe like break with reality or like something along those lines. And I did tell him, he commented on one of my videos. This dude navigated to my channel and went to my transmasculine review of She's the Man. Hold on. Okay, so here's what he typed. He said, 7 girls again, 7 sisters of Dreamtime. She dresses up as her fraternal twin brother. She dresses up as her fraternal twin brother is the closest thing to reality in most of this comment, okay? And then twins is always used because of the shadow self ID, the ids and ego, and the qubit split. The 2 donkeys Jesus rode. Just to get this clear, sin is not bad for the reason people think. If you change the rules on what controls you, you can change the rules on what you can control. Doing the opposite of what you normally do is a big stag in a lot of movies. Everything Everywhere All at Once, They do the opposite to gain power, as well as in Revolver, he gives money away when he's obsessed with it. This is how to control the id slash shadow self. The further the gap between two energy levels, the higher frequency the photon. It's like some of that is normal responding to the movie. And like, okay, I can appreciate that if you're like, okay, you're like twins in media reflect the id and ego. Okay, cool, whatever. Who fucking cares about Freud? But sure. But it's like sandwiched in between insane shit. And we back and forth. I was like, "Are you the guy who called last night talking about the pineal gland?" And he was like, "Yeah." He actually says, "Yes, I'm sorry, I was rude on the phone call," and some other stuff. And I just said, "Martin, with all the love I have got to say that the person who most needs to hear what you have to say is a clinical psychologist." Like that dude, some of you were concerned, and I understand and can agree that it's a possibility that if he were to say any of those things to a psychologist, that they might want to have an ongoing relationship with him. So between my mental health needs and my sense of intellectual integrity, I cannot stomach watching call-in shows. I always view it as like, at least I'm passing on my knowledge to our viewers, and I'm challenging beliefs that are harmful. And at the very minimum, I'm providing catharsis for our trans viewers and guidance. Literally, we provide guidance for our trans viewers who call in and who are like, what do I do with my mom being like this? And like, what do I do? Oh, like, should I move to a different place? Like, is it safe for us? Like, literally, we are providing guidance to trans people. So it's, in that way, at least, a positive thing. And it lets me blow off a little steam, because sometimes I get to yell at people. Sometimes you need to yell at people. True, though, Viren said, did you consider the supersymmetry Lagrangian connecting all space-time and therefore God? Big brain, galaxy brain take. Only 25 viewers. This is an interesting thing that happens when I wear any color shirt. I also think maybe that this is supposed to be up a little bit higher. I think I should have tightened it back in the back to make it right up a little higher. Whoop, little bit of bra visible. Oh, so what I was going to do, I want you to know that this is what I had planned to do. I was like, okay, I think on Wednesdays, I'm gonna start taking pictures of whatever outfit I've decided to wear for stream and post them on Fansly, because I haven't posted on Fansly in a long time. And I want to make a little bit of extra money. And so I'm like, all right. And I want to feel better about my body. And I'm like, okay, if I just recontextualize my body, even though I am unhappy with my weight, let's just feel cute anyway. And so I did that. I took some pictures today. And I'm gonna ask my partner before I post them. Like, they're so... basically, like, when I started my Fansly, I was just copying Conyer in a way. And I was like, let me just post, like, cute outfits. And so the cute outfits are, like, the thing, and they're a little bit provocative. And the most, like, sexual thing I did with it on my Fansly was, like, I think one time I had a shirt and I, like, pulled up the shirt to show the cute bra. Just, like, a little bit of the cute bra. But, yeah, I was definitely in a different mood today. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna talk to my partner before posting this, and let him see the pictures first and everything. Because if it's like, it definitely represents like a shift in what my Fansly would be about if I were to post it. So instead of saying, if you want to see what the rest of this harness looks like, go check out my Fansly, I'm saying that, and maybe check in a few days. I don't know. I haven't posted on anything in a while. I guess for, like, just for your reference, it's a full body harness, so. Takis doesn't even seem to have the worst transphobes I've heard on other call-in shows. Totally. So, I mean, that's kind of part of my motivation for getting on the other shows, is because they have more viewers. Like, we had, like, I think 1,000 viewers like 1,000 concurrent viewers on Skep Talk this week with RN, and um, I was expecting. I don't know. I think maybe like, am I just like not visibly trans enough in the thumbnail photo that we typically use? They don't ever put trans in the title of any of the non-Takis videos. Like, so even if I'm on there, the title is still, do you have evidence for God? Like, it is still, the title is always still something about God and not transness. So like, it would have to be more incidental that someone calls, or someone is listening and then they go, oh, this is a trans person, I want to argue with them about that. So we haven't, like, there's no guarantee, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, that I will get a transphobic caller while I'm on one of the other shows. Except I think that Forrest gets a lot of transphobic callers. And so I want to do a show with Forrest because I'm like, okay, this might be my opportunity to talk about being trans on one of the other shows. But it, you know, it's nice to just be like, you know, I'm talking about religion. I'm debunking those things because it's been a while. And there's the fact that the other shows happen later in the evening, so maybe there's just like more people who are available to call, so you're getting like, you know, like you're casting a wider net maybe, so you're catching more weirdos. I don't know. Later, Mabs. Just trying to breathe my water. You ever do that? You ever trying to take a drink and you decide, like, what if I breathed water, though? Wouldn't that be a wonderful opportunity for me? So, sorry about that. I tried to mute myself in time, but I think I may have started coughing before I muted. Pics too risque feet then. I keep talking about posting feet online and I've never done it. I don't know, just never get around to it. I feel like I should get a cute manicure first. Takis does feel very gentle. Do you mean that in the sense of like when the fact that we have to give people like advice, or the fact that we have Josie Caballero and a lot of the time Josie is like not yelling at people? I think that's why people like Matt and why people don't like Matt, is that he yells at people. And probably something similar with Aaron. People like him because he yells at people, and people don't like him because he yells at people. I have no idea, because I don't watch any of the other shows, how spicy they are, but I guess we are generally trending toward less yelling at people. When you try not to die of dehydration and end up drowning instead. True. Excuse me. Yeah, you gotta check from time to time if the lungs have grown the ability to hydrate themselves. Takis feels like it's a lot more trans or allies coming in versus spicy callers wanting to shit on trans people. Yeah, and I'm honestly like, I don't know, we have conversations internally about this all the time, because I feel like the entire point of Takis and all of these call-in shows is to argue with people. So I actually get a little bit frustrated when we have a call-in show where it's all people who agree. And I think part of this is like, maybe it's that the titles should be a little bit different, like more directly confrontational titles. I don't know, but and like we've talked about, a lot of the time we just take all the callers that we get because we don't get very many callers. So we might get 6 callers, and that's typically a good length show, is 6 callers. And a lot of the time those are people who agree. If we get more callers, I have been advocating like we should be more choosy the way they are on other shows, right? Like Aaron and Matt, like they prioritize theist callers. So I think that might be just a standard for those atheist oriented shows. They only bring on theists for the beginning of the show, and then they'll start bringing on atheists. So if there was an atheist who wanted to argue with me about a trans issue, they would typically have to wait until the end of the show, I think. If we were on one of the other shows. But yeah, so I've been kind of saying, like, yeah, when we get more callers, let's prioritize taking the angry people, because sometimes the angry people will drop if you take too many callers before them. And so I'm like, we've definitely dropped the ball on that a couple times, where we're taking them in order, and then somebody who we're like looking forward to that spicy call, they leave because we take too long giving someone advice or something. So yeah, I'm trying to advocate for, in some ways, trying to bring Takis more in line with the other programming. Oh, Kitty, I think you came in and typed in a big paragraph. Yes. I made it in today. Weird to have missed 2 standard streams. Just been a wild week. Hell yeah. My feet are super busted after running too much. No one wants to look at them. I think that people with jacked up feet actually do pretty well with foot fetishists. Sometimes the more jacked up your feet are, the more people will like it in a certain demographic, but I don't know. I feel like Takis usually hits a good balance of spicy and non-hostile. Sure, yeah. I would prefer, I think, if we did it like half and half. If we could get 3 spicy callers and then like 3 chill callers, I feel like that would be pretty good. But you can't control who calls in, you know. Shit happens. Sometimes we just don't have any confrontational callers. But yeah, it was a lot of fun getting on Skep Talk. And oh, also, I guess this is a little bit like an announcement kind of thing. I came back to stream and the first thing I heard was jacked up feet and foot fetishists. Listen, we talk about a range of very important topics here. So obviously I have my stuff. Like, I have my Patreon where I post things. I've been posting lots of behind the scenes kind of stuff recently, or like I'm trying to increase the volume. So like I put up a picture of my mandala that I finally finished. And that's for, you know, patrons only. I'm trying to post more patrons only stuff, but also the line has a Patreon where you can get cool stuff. And then like another thing that we're going to start doing for the Patreon is basically like an online convention called LineCon. And I actually have the host, oh my God, what is this? It's like a host availability form where we're going to start doing this on a regular basis. Kind of basically like presentations or panels that are for patrons only to try to drive more traffic there. So we have like more and more stuff that we're trying to offer behind the scenes. I'm at work, so I'm only just joining. Apologies if this was suggested, but maybe alternate the spicy calls and supportive calls so that everyone has a palate cleanser. We have tried to do that in the past, Fuzzy Logic. I was just saying that, unfortunately, sometimes if we have a spicy caller, they might not even be patient enough to wait through like one call to, because I mean, it's like a lot of people are at work during our show. So I'm trying to advocate for like prioritizing the spicy callers, just because I think that they're more likely to hang up, and then I don't like it when we have an entire show with not a single spicy caller. But Drea says, even the spicy calls do kind of get boring after a while, though. It's just the same regurgitated garbage repeated ad nauseum. Yeah. But I'm really good at arguing these points. Like, so I haven't yet gotten bored of it, I guess, that's what's important. Like, they do get boring for some people. I have yet to get bored. If I do get super bored with it, too bad. It's one of my primary forms of revenue. It's like I make almost more money. No. The most money I make in a month is through Patreon for sure. But working with the line is a big chunk of the money that I make every month. Speaking of the money that I make every month, first of all, hit the like button. It's free. It's quick. It's easy. I love you. Also, if we get to the $100 goal for today, you get to find out what's in the box. What's in the chest? What is it? Can we do it? Do you want to do a little shaky shake? You want to see what we can hear? What's that? I don't know. Find out. I asked my partner, I think he maybe was like not paying full attention to me, but at some point I'm going to have my partner put something in the box and then me not know what it is and us get to discover it together. Hi, Naomi. How's it going? Also, sometimes the spicy ones cross the line because some people cannot be normal about trans people. Yeah, I mean, we try to assume that everybody calling in has, like, genuine questions. But, I mean, shit, there was that, like, chaser guy who called a couple weeks ago who I was like, I hung up on him because I was like, he's about to say something, like, explicit that is gonna get the channel in trouble. So I was like, let me go ahead and just get out of here. I do admit that last time was a pretty good box option. I love that fucking thing. It's so good. I think I have it propped up somewhere in my living room right now. I don't know what to do with it. I can't really lean it against anything because it's got such a hard curve on the backside that it just like it wants to just slump. So I gotta figure out. Ooh, you know what I should do is get one of those it's for displaying plates. Like, you know, your grandma's decorative plates and stuff? It's like a piece of metal that has, like, prongs like this. And so you can rest something in there and it'll hold it. I need something like that. Taking spicy calls first. Some will drop if they don't get through right away. Yeah, totally. So, it's really interesting to be like, I have a lot of opinions about how we do things on the line, but I am literally just like a freelancer. So I don't really have any control over how we do anything. I have all my thoughts and I'm just like, well, I'm just along for the ride. I'm just like, yeah, I'm here to be on the show. I don't make any decisions. I just get paid money. So you should host a party and have that as a centerpiece for people to eat out of. True, yeah. Also for holding books in a bookstore. Yeah, I guess what I need is, I mean, it's I guess kind of like a miniature easel, but I have seen ones where it's like the plates are on the wall. I guess this is kind of along the lines of what I'm thinking of, but like, I don't need it to necessarily have all the extra decorative stuff. And you can get something like this that will sit on a countertop. So, I guess either way, I could put it up on the wall or put it on a counter somewhere. I guess putting it up on the wall means I'm freeing up my counter space, but dude, we need an entertainment center. We kind of sort of have one. We have like a closet, like a little cabinet thing that has all of our DVDs and stuff in it, but it's like overflowing. So it's like there's too much stuff in there. And then my husband has all these retro game consoles and like retro games and all this shit. Which like he's had a lot of it since he was a kid and he's a collector. I get it, whatever. So we need an entertainment center. But the entertainment centers that I like and that would accommodate our existing cabinet, they're big and they cover a lot of wall space. And we also need a new bookshelf because our bookshelf, and it's fucking big, is full. I guess to be fair, we are like all of my husband's record collection is on that bookshelf. So it's like an entire shelf is being taken up. And we have a ton of music books specifically that are taking up almost an entire shelf, but it's a giant bookshelf and it's almost full. So we need another bookshelf, which is going to take up way more wall space. You know, you can't put pictures on the wall where the bookshelf is. And then, yeah, I've been looking at these entertainment centers on like Facebook Marketplace. And let me see if I can find one, show you a picture. I guess they don't make them the same way that they used to. Because, like, the ones that I've been seeing selling for used are... Okay, I guess this is, like, the closest one. Oh, okay, well, it's fucking on eBay. No wonder it's the closest one. Because it's used. I've been seeing ones like this, which... Although, the ones that I've been seeing are, like, there's even less going on in the middle here. So, basically, what I've been seeing is... thing on the side, and then thing on top that is usually more flat than that, and it rests on top. And then you can change how far apart the two sides are to accommodate however big of a TV you have. Like, you could bring it in tighter, or make it wider. And so this kind of thing, minus all this bullshit in the front here, would accommodate my existing cabinet thing, which is, it would fit in here like, okay, there's a cabinet thing, and then my TV is on top of that cabinet thing, as it currently is, and then, like, whatever resting on top of it, and then adjustable. So, and I think something that size, assuming that there wasn't any cabinetry up here, I think that that would be enough space to accommodate all of our fucking video games. But it would, again, looking at it, look at all that wall space it's taking up. So it's, like, even less space to put stuff, hang stuff. Although I guess you're gaining some real estate with having more surfaces to put shit on up top. I don't know. Anyway. These are the things that I'm like, I aspire to be able to get something like that, just used. Like a solid wood entertainment center like that, used. Ugh. Show husband pic. We haven't, I keep talking about it on chat and then forgetting to bring it up with my husband. Like, I've been talking about doing a husband reveal for a really long time. And then also, my partner and I are thinking about starting a podcast together, so I might be like, hey, for promo for our podcast, why don't you come on the stream? Or something, I don't know. I live! It's funny, Gayfesh, that you say that, because I did just watch Mulan twice in a very short period of time, and that's Mushu's first line. But yeah, we haven't discussed whether my husband's gonna go online with his face. Podcast about what? We specifically want to start a podcast about the Aragon book series and the upcoming Disney Plus show. There's 4 books in the main series. There's a short stories anthology that came out. There's a 5th book that came out that is in the same chronology as the first 4, but it's like expanding the story. And there's a Disney Plus TV show coming out. So we are big fans of that, and we are going to maybe start a podcast about it. I need to be like, hey, bitch, get a microphone so that he can record his part. Don't forget to hit the like button, bitches! My hair is so big sometimes. It's like, I don't know if I want to call this volume or if this is frizz, because I have curly hair that I still don't know what to do with. Anyway. I've been listening to this one podcast for 10 years now, and it's kind of crazy to think about. True. Like, how long have I been following Markiplier's career? Did you plan to cover the Online Safety Act that's rolling out now? Is that are you talking about the one in the UK? Where the UK is now requiring, like an ID to get online? Is that what it is? I've only read the first few chapters of Murtagh, but I appreciated the portrayal of his trauma. Yeah. Nobody gives a shit here except for like apparently Viren, who's read the books. And without spoiling, Murtagh is way more relatable to me than Aragon, and a lot of people in our community, the community of Allegasia fans, they don't like Murtagh, and I'm like, skill issue. I like Aragon is not relatable. Sorry, like I don't find him particularly relatable. So that's just my perspective. I just like Murtagh a lot more when you get to be inside his head and the kinds of things he thinks about. And also Roran and the kinds of things he thinks about. I like him way better than Aragon. Guys, I started reading Wizard of Earthsea, and I think I hate it. Did I already talk about this on Sunday? I feel like maybe I did. But I started reading A Wizard of Earthsea because I was like, okay, I've enjoyed all of these Ursula K. Le Guin short stories I read. I guess, to be fair, I'm only, I think, just now about to start reading chapter 4, which it's only like a 180-page book, and I'm like, 50, 60 pages in or whatever. I just hate the protagonist. It reminds me of the fact that I never finished reading The Catcher in the Rye because I hated the protagonist. But I like posted about it on my Facebook. I was like, have any of my friends read this? It sucks. And everybody was like, oh yeah, they're like, I remember liking it, so I think he does go through some kind of character change. Like, okay, if this guy goes through a character change and is less annoying, then sure, maybe it's good. But I've heard people critique J.K. Rowling and say that her Harry Potter series is like ripping off Ursula K. Le Guin in a way because Wizard of Earthsea is about a wizarding school. It's super different in a lot of ways, but I get why people, I don't know, I need to get further into it and maybe I'll understand more why people say that. I think Aragon being the kind of person he is where the series origins from a teenager really show in a vacuum. Yeah, like Aragon doesn't have a lot going on mentally. I don't know. There's not a nice way to say that. But he just doesn't have much going on up top. He doesn't really think about, he doesn't have anything he plans to do with his life. When his story, I'm sorry, I know that nobody cares about this. When his story gets derailed at the beginning, he's not like, there's no like identity shift he has to go through where he's like, I imagined my life this way and now I have to do something else. Like, and it doesn't really feel like he struggles with many of his moral decisions. There's only like one moral decision he makes that he's like, and he doesn't even really struggle with it. He's just like, nope, I've decided that the moral thing to do is the opposite of what I originally planned to do now that I'm faced with the choice in front of me. So actually, he's so morally rigid. I don't know, man. I was recently diagnosed with ADHD and I'm hoping I can get medicated for it because it's rare that I'm able to actually focus on a book, except when I get hyperfocused and binge read for hours. True. Yeah. I have not been taking ADHD medication since I moved, basically. I still have some left over, and I'm sure it's still good, but I just haven't been doing it, and I don't really know why. I think because I feel like I'm doing okay the way that I'm doing, and that I would rather, like, without medication, and, like, you have to worry about interactions and stuff, and, like, I guess it's a little easier now because I'm not drinking alcohol at the moment, but I'm like, ooh, has it been long enough since I took my Ritalin for me to start drinking and have it not interact in my system? Or, like, what about other medications or whatever? And, like, the fact that I'm putting something in my liver to process all the time, I don't know. I'm just trying not to take them, I guess. And I guess I said I guess too many times there. I'm sorry. But I am trying to learn more about myself and try more subtle and long-term sustainable ways of getting into habits and becoming the type of person that I want to become, or accepting the kind of person that I am. So like I struggle in the mornings to wake up and get out of bed. So am I ever going to be a morning person? I romanticize to some extent the idea of like waking up super duper early in the morning, you know, wake up at like 6 in the morning and make a cup of tea and go stand outside and listen to the birds and enjoy like the quiet stillness of the early morning chill. And I want to do that. I just can't fucking get myself out of bed in the morning. So, okay, it's going to start with small incremental changes. Like when my alarm goes off in the morning, I'm going to try to very soon after that, like open up the blinds and like make sure it's as bright in there as it can be with natural light. And then I've been finding that that has helped me get out of bed earlier in the morning. And if I have something specific to do, I can get out of bed early. If I'm like, I need to get to the garden before it gets to this temperature, I'm going to get up and go do it. But yeah, it's so difficult to just decide to do something else. So you kind of have to go incrementally. Or just go, yeah, I guess I'm never going to be the person who wakes up at 6, and just get used to waking up at 10 and scheduling your life that way. Oh, Jessica says, last year I discovered the secret life hack for conquering my ADHD, reading the paperbook and audiobook simultaneously. I've gone from reading 10 books a year to 50. I do, I think that both of them are good for different reasons. And I listened to the audiobook of Murtagh first, and then I read it physically, and I found that when I read it physically, there were things that I had missed when I was just listening to it. So I think that both of them are very good methods, and I have never done them simultaneously, but it sounds fun. Byron, how much have you read? Did you read through the ending of Inheritance? The best thing to do in the morning is to open up the blinds, turn on the lights, and then put on a face mask so you can be in darkness. No. I want to get up in the morning and, like, wash my face. I can do that for maybe about a week, and then I stop being able to do that. Oh, do you guys remember the whole fiasco with Xena and Poppy and the video that I made, like the 2-hour, it's like a 2.5 hour long video. On stream, we went for like 3 hours talking about this. Like all of the allegations, like Xena and Poppy leveling allegations at people and people leveling allegations against them. Milena was the person who put that document together, and like the document that I read off of and like organized it and everything. And right now, Milena is getting hit with a slap lawsuit. If you're familiar with slap suits, it's like when, you know, when that billionaire tried to sue John Oliver, and they made a whole big thing of it, of like, fuck you, Tom, or whatever the fuck his name was. Anyway, a slap suit is like a bullshit lawsuit where someone's like, you've been defaming my character, and it's like, actually, I was just saying true things about you. So basically, Poppy has decided to sue Milena in the state of Michigan, I think, a state where they don't have any anti-slap laws. And you should donate to it if you can. She's just trying to get a lawyer on retainer so that she can defend herself from a spurious lawsuit. And yeah, so she's just trying to reach that goal to retain counsel. And I'll put a link. Oh, hold on. I'll put a link over here. At least check it out, or hit share. Would be helpful. I think Milena has been struggling to get her head above water for the last year or two, so any help she can receive would be useful. Yes, thank you, Gayfesh. I appreciate that. Exclamation point Milena will get you a link. I don't know how long she's going to be running that GoFundMe. Like, she needs the money, you know, because otherwise I think that she's going to, like, if she is not able to provide for her own defense, she will end up potentially having to pay a judgment of, like, paying the fee for defamation, effectively, which could be, like, $25,000. So $10,000 for her to retain counsel, way better than her being on the hook for $25K for a spurious slap lawsuit. So, yep, thanks for supporting Milena. In Canada, if you win a lawsuit, you get your lawyer paid for. So many lawyers will work pro bono if they think that they will win. There are lawyers. It's not pro bono. Pro bono means I don't expect any payment whatsoever. But some lawyers do, like with, for example, like disability rights lawyers. If you're trying to get disability and you have to get a lawyer to help you put your case together, they will typically do the work with no upfront cost. But what they will expect is that when you get your benefit, or maybe not, maybe it's not disability, maybe I'm thinking of something else, but like some kind of benefit payout, they will do it for a percentage of your payout. So like for every time you get paid for the rest of forever, you owe them 5% of it. But or in some cases, like, yeah, they'll take a percentage of your lump sum when it gets paid out by the opposing party, but they don't get paid unless they succeed in the lawsuit. It's just, I don't really know if there's anybody who offers that for slap suits, especially with like how messy that situation is, and that some of it is like, a lot of it is stuff that there's evidence of online, and that evidence cannot be destroyed because Milena had already, I think, done like a whole thing with a cease and desist, and like and basically, like, I think that Milena sued Poppy and Xena, or at the very minimum they were in the process of potentially suing, and so Poppy is like required to keep all those tweets. Like, she's not allowed to delete any of them. Usually it's from the lump sum because disability pays out backdated to the time that you originally applied. Okay, cool. Yeah. So if you applied 3 years ago and you'll get all of that money suddenly, and then the lawyer will take like a percentage. I don't believe Milena has sued. I know No Flake has. Oh, okay. My bad. No Flake sued, not Milena. It's, man, I don't care about Poppy, so it's kind of hard for me to remember details because I genuinely, I'm like, I forget that she exists, and then I see somebody tweet about her and I'm like, oh yeah, that was crazy. I just never think about her, so it's easy for me to forget details of like what happened in the timeline or who said what. I finally reached a threshold with my kombucha success. I think I said at the beginning of the stream, like, yesterday I was super productive, and it was a bunch of different stuff that I was doing, but I like cleaned up around the house, and I I figured out that my kombucha had appropriately fermented, stuck it in the fridge, tried it today, and it's kombucha. I think I did it. I think I succeeded. And let's see what. Oh yeah, I've been oiling all of my wood utensils and tools, like my cutting boards and stuff. And a lot of them I've been like, I'm saturating them with oil and then I'm letting it soak in for a day, and then I'm saturating with oil and then I'm letting it soak in for a day. And finally I'm at a point where I can start waxing them and giving them like that nice outer coat, which feels awesome. So one of my cutting boards, I have two very shitty cutting boards. One of them has now been waxed. And I could have used it last night, and I did technically use it for dinner last night, but I also put aluminum foil and wax paper on the top of it so that I could cut on it without actually having to wash it. Because I'm like, wow, it would be terrible for me to wax this thing and then immediately, like 2 hours later, wash it with like Dawn dish soap. Yeah, it was crazy. Okay, suddenly I'm about to pee myself. So instead of doing that, I'm gonna run to the bathroom. Sorry, I don't normally take the break this early in stream, but it's just a very sudden problem. So I'll put some music on for you and I'll be back in just a second. Okay. Okay, the music is done and we're back. Hi. Thanks for waiting. Appreciate that. um. Oh god, Jessica asked, who's Poppy? Long story short, she's a trans woman and a licensed therapist who has untreated borderline personality disorder, and as a result is a very difficult person to be in a community with. And also she overtly has jealousy issues and is controlling toward her partners. She has jealousy issues and she knows it, and she is still polyamorous, and the way that she deals with her jealousy is by being controlling to her partners. And many other problems. But that was kind of the thing that was at issue. Too much grass interfacing, out of mind it goes. Indeed. What oil did you use? So I had just been using like a food grade mineral oil that I had bought off of Amazon for a long time for it. But obviously that, I don't know, it was like coming out of the wood every time I would wash my stuff. So this time I got a brand, I think it's called like Walrus brand wood oil. Yeah, Walrus oil is the name of the stuff that I ended up getting this time. So, I don't think I got the pure tongue oil from them, but yeah, this is the brand that I ended up getting some stuff from. I got the, yeah, cutting board oil and wood wax for cutting boards set. So, yeah. It's pretty cool. They've got other good products there too, so. Mineral oil never polymerizes, it stays liquid. Hell yeah. I don't think controlling other people is how you manage jealousy. I know, I'm just saying, like, her view, and that's, I mean, that's really how I think her brain works, is other people's behavior needs to change in order to accommodate her. Because this is the thing, and I think that she had this issue, and so did Xena, her partner, who, has migraines and PMDD, like, is it premenstrual dysphoria disorder or something? I don't fucking know what PMDD stands for, but it's like severe symptoms around your period beyond PMS. They both seem to have this attitude that other people have to change in order to accommodate your shit if your thing is a diagnosis. Which means that, like, it's like up to Poppy's partners to not publicly interact with each other, because that triggers Poppy's abandonment trauma. And therefore, like, so basically, like, if you identify with your disorder like that, you are much less likely to take accountability. Because if you start thinking, like, this is how I am, instead of, like, this is something I'm experiencing, I think that is, like, part of the problem here. It was just fucking ridiculous stuff. And Poppy, like, it's such a red flag to me when, for a mental health professional who is diagnosed with a serious illness like borderline, to constantly shit talk the #1 evidence-based treatment for borderline. It's something I will not ever stop being weirded out by and upset about, because I have the same borderline diagnosis, and I know that DBT has made a huge difference in my life. Like, the #1 evidence-based therapy for BPD, and it has a bunch of evidence-based shit in there that works about everything. Like, anybody who has any other disorder could also, or even just people who are functional, could benefit from something in the DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy program, because there's so much different stuff in there that is all evidence-based. So yeah, it's such an insane thing to be like, I'm a therapist who is diagnosed with this crazy disorder, and I'm gonna shit talk the evidence-based practice, right? It's like, it's the kind of thing that you only do if you're toxic and you know it. Clap your hands. You know what I mean? Oh, that's cool. Viren made wood utensils as gifts for Christmas last year and used tongue oil for the finish. Pain in the ass if you want quick results, but apparently one of the best once it polymerizes for protection. Yeah, and maybe that's something that I would want to look into if I get like a really nice cutting board, because I would really like a beautiful end grain cutting board. That's like very high on the list of things that I'm gonna try to get my partner to buy me for Christmas. Yeah, so I'll have to try some new things between now and then. The whole point of a diagnosis is so that you can get help. Yeah, and I mean, Poppy had a therapist as far as I knew, but her therapist also shit-talked DBT and enabled a lot of her worst impulses because they were friends. So anyway, it's like every time I get into talking about Poppy, Melena's slogan that she used throughout the process was like, don't worry, it gets worse. Like, yep, don't worry, it gets worse. Everything you learn about it is like, oh no, oh honey. So anyway, that's part of why I don't think about it that much anymore, because I'm just like, yeah. And she's lost as much credibility as she can, and I don't know. I feel like the few people who are still in her orbit are like probably not ever going to change their mind about it, so I don't really need to think about them. Seeing a therapist who is a friend is like a big ethical violation, isn't it, for the therapist? Yeah. Welcome to fucking the Poppy saga. Jesus. Hashtag breathe if you're horny. True, Frida. I'm breathing right this moment, and I'm super horned up. Quantum Chaos came back briefly. I think you might be confusing two different people. Am I confusing two different people? I might be. Or it might be that she had a friend who was also a therapist, but not her therapist, who was just giving her shitty advice. Sure. I'm fully on board with the idea that I got something mixed up there. Poppy worked for her friend at a counseling service, but he was not her therapist. Oh, I'm thinking of a woman. Like, I thought that she had a therapist who... Maybe them being friends is speaking too strongly on the matter, but I think she had a therapist who was just enabling her a lot. She brags that her therapist is the head of a department at a college, but I don't think they are friends. Okay, so maybe I was mixing up the friend part, but I was thinking of her therapist who is a woman who was most certainly enabling her and not pressing her to do the fucking most evidence-based practice for her disorder. Ugh. Gross. So yeah, anyway, that's some insane bullshit drama. Speaking of insane bullshit drama, I really, really seriously considered like making a snappy, quick video about this, but it would be really hard to substantiate this. Therefore, I'm going to treat it with a great deal of understanding that this might be a joke someone is doing on the internet, okay? Do you remember James Somerton? We had lots of evidence of his plagiarism of other queer video creators and writers. And allegedly, this is pretty niche news, so this is the source for this, and it's just some person's website, I think. Or the Fablographer. I don't fucking know what this website is. So, allegedly, he tried to become a wedding photographer and plagiarized his portfolio. Whether or not this is true, it's true in our hearts. Exactly, Viren. So I really did seriously consider like busting out a video. I know that this post is from April, but the evidence contained within, like, I don't actually know how much we can substantiate this. So I just feel like I need to hedge it a lot. Although, Gayfesh, if you think that this is true drama, I might go ahead and do the rushed video project tomorrow of, yes, I will continue to talk about some amount of YouTuber drama as well as media analysis, especially because Summerton talked about media, and so I think it is still appropriate for me to comment on other creators in the space. But yeah, he apparently faked his entire portfolio to become a wedding photographer. Gayfesh actually said a while ago that that Summerton could just pivot to doing something with videography because he has all of this equipment. He's invested a shit ton of money into the equipment. So you could do something like just be a wedding photographer or whatever. But apparently he plagiarized the works of other wedding photographers to run this business on a website where he has now deleted his bio. So, like, this is what I mean about it not being easy to substantiate it. It's true, but it's not like breaking news, LOL. I just think some new people are finding out again. Oh, I didn't see anything about this back in April. Like, I didn't see anything about it, so it's completely new information to me, and therefore, if I make a video about it, I'm gonna treat it like it's breaking news. Gayfesh says, I saw his company webpage before he took everything down. Okay, so this was actively happening enough that there are screenshots, or maybe, I don't know, not that there are screenshots, but enough that there are people who saw the shit before it came down, knowing that it was James Summerton stuff. I wonder if I could find some screenshots. But there are none in this article. But allegedly he plagiarized the work of other wedding photographers. People on the internet are very observant and found that his portfolio on the wedding photographer hiring portal was not actually his. So, that's funny. He claimed to have 15 years of experience in wedding photography and videography. I guess that means you don't have to explain to anybody why you're doing a sudden career pivot. If you've been doing it for a long time. However, per the feedback from one of the members of the couple that were trying to hire him, James Summerton not only did not bring his camera equipment, but also started pretending to be the bride at the wedding. At the wedding? At the actual wedding? Meaning, like, they did not receive any wedding photos, even though they were alleged, like, you know, presumably paying him to do that? Did they just not end up with any photos of their wedding? At what point does it cross from just a shitty thing he does into like a compulsion? I will get to that in a second. In another review on this website, a person pointed out how the photographs were not his, but were plagiarized stock images. This is like a Facebook post that is a screenshot of a Tumblr post. Where this is supposed to be his, this is his business thing, and this person's like, he seems truly incapable of not passing off other people's work as his own. James Summerton becoming a wedding photographer only to then plagiarize his portfolio has got to be the funniest possible outcome to his whole sorry saga. It's like he's incapable of original thought. Okay, so, and this is, apparently from his bio on the photography website. Like, imagine your wedding day, a day brimming with emotions, laughter, tears, and countless unforgettable moments. Now, imagine being able to relive every single one of those moments exactly as you felt them anytime you want. That's where Memory Media steps in. At Memory Media, we don't just create wedding videos. Okay, this is so AI. Can I just say, I would doubt any customer testimonials. I'm sure people were leaving fake reviews. Okay, yeah, maybe just to fuck with him after realizing that he was showing up somewhere else. Maybe. That's a good point. That's a good point, though. That the reviews themselves might have just been people trolling him who know of his other plagiarism. But yeah, anyway, this is so AI. This is written by an AI for sure. I guess that makes his whole thing like at least he doesn't have to directly plagiarize. He can indirectly plagiarize through ChatGPT. He removed his profile picture and even his bio from the website. However, per Reddit/YouTube drama and Wedding Wire, James Somerton has been accused of plagiarism even before. And then blah, 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 Harry Brewis. Anyway, I just thought that was funny. I might record a little video tomorrow and just be like, boom, 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 hey, remember this drama? That would be funny. It's funny that he just can't stop. It's like you literally can't just take a fucking photography. You could just take like a couple classes at a community college and suddenly have a new thing you can do with all of your video equipment. And like, okay, pay $20 a month for a photographer for Photoshop. Ridiculous. I do think that he might be doing it for the rush. Like Byron, you said earlier, at what point is this not just a shitty thing he does and is now like something we could view as a compulsion? I think he might be like enjoying it. I think he might be, you know, seeking some kind of rush. Like I feel like this cannot be explained by him just being lazy. Like, yes, it is extremely lazy as well as disrespectful to plagiarize people so blatantly the way he does. But man, like I you run out of explanations. Like you run out of reasonable explanations at a certain point. I feel like James Somerton is more sad than funny personally. Sure, I mean, I think maybe because it's hard to understand the motivations, it kind of starts to just look like a comedy of errors. And so I guess it's easier to find it funny because it seems like something he's doing deliberately. You know, like you could just make an honest day's wage like everybody else, and he just can't. And it's so fascinating. Like I'm genuinely like perplexed by it. I can't wait for H Bomber Guy's 6-hour documentary about a 90s video game that hits you with the reveal halfway through that John Carmack ate a live kitten or something. True. I wonder what he's working on nowadays. I see him skeet every once in a while. Maybe it's expecting too much of James's social skills to say he should just go, hey friend, I want to change careers. Would you mind modeling for me in some photos? Right. Truly, yeah. Like my aunt was trying to get a photography business going. She may or may not still be doing it. I don't know. She's part of the entire family that I don't talk to anymore. But she was like, hey, let me take your senior photos. Cause I was like a junior becoming a senior, I think somewhere in that range. And she was like, let me take you to the mall and we'll have someone at Kohl's do your makeup. I was allergic to something because my eyes would not stop watering. I was allergic to some part of the makeup. And we went downtown Kansas City where it's all shitty, like where where all the haunted houses are. If you're from Kansas City, shout out. There's only 33 people here, so it's unlikely, but still. And we took some cool pictures, and cool. I got senior pictures for free, and she got to put me on her website as a model. So, he just doesn't have friends. He had one friend, and he fucked that friend over by repeatedly insinuating that he was responsible for the plagiarism. Nick, I think was his name. Nick, James's friend. And also like letting Nick, along with everybody else, believe that James had attempted suicide. Like, fucked up. So yeah, he doesn't have any friends to ask to model for him. He could also just be like, yeah, I'm a novice, or take one fucking class. This is what I'm saying. Like, just go to the community college, take one class. Yeah, he ensured that he tied Nick to all of the plagiarism. Yeah. Really doing a solid for your BFF there, bud. Jesus. It's really hard to drink out of this cup and also hold the spoon at the same time. a little unwieldy. Giant, giant cup. Mm. Oh my god, delicious. Can we talk about trans feminism for a reason? Or sorry, for a minute. Why the fuck? Sometimes I switch. I'm in the middle of talking and then I read and then my words just go, they take a hard left. Can we talk about trans feminism for a minute? Because I'm trying to understand what it is. What are you drinking, if you don't mind saying? This is green tea with a carnation flower. It's one of my blooming teas. And also heavy cream and honey. I wonder what his next venture will be. Yeah, he also, like, he's already had one in between. He was, like, doing the YouTube thing, got exposed, took everything down, and then he tried to start making videos on a TikTok account. And he did a TikTok account, like, almost like a VTuber. Like, he was using a little, like, generated avatar guy to do the videos. He got exposed on that. And then this wedding photography thing, which apparently he started doing, according to that screenshot, it was like sometime in, what did this? It says last updated May 2024. So as of a year ago, he was trying to do this, and then he got exposed just a few months ago. Yeah, like how many more times am I gonna hear the James Somerton at it again story? Like how many times, dude? Before you get a job in an office. Get a job in an office. And then just let ChatGPT do all your work, okay? You can do that now. I actually think it would probably be really difficult for him to get a job because of the Google association on his name, which so that kind of makes sense why he was like, yo, let me try to start a photography business. But just do it for real. It's not even that hard. I mean, I don't know, I shouldn't. I have like a professional photographer in my family, and I would not say it's easy, but it's also not hard. Like, just do it and network and practice your photography skills. Anyway, trans feminism, as in like the political theory, like this says, like, the reason why I'm thinking about it is because I saw some people talking about it on Blue Sky recently, and I can't remember exactly what the context was. I feel like part of the conversation was the subject of whether trans men are represented in trans feminism, or that like that there are trans masculine scholars of trans feminism. Anyway, so yeah, the business aspect of being a photographer is certainly not made easier when you're caught stealing your portfolio. Fucking true. Anyway, trans feminism, according to Wikipedia, is a branch of feminism focused on transgender women and informed by transgender studies. This does kind of later on say that it talks about gender more broadly, but I guess because it's got feminism in the name, there's probably a presumption to some degree that it is something to do specifically with trans women. And I guess, like, looking at the history of trans feminism, it is kind of an offshoot of feminism in that way. But I also don't view feminism as exclusively having to do with women's rights in the first place, so I do think that that's a little bit of a misconception. But anyway, trans feminism focuses on the effects of trans misogyny and patriarchy on trans women. It is related to the broader field of queer theory. The term was popularized by Emi Koyama in the Trans Feminist Manifesto. Transfeminism describes the concepts of gender nonconformity, notions of masculinity and femininity, and the maintaining of gender binary on trans men and women. So it's like, yes, we talk about gender nonconformity. So I don't know why it's like, first paragraph, it's about trans women. Second paragraph, actually, it's about trans men too. Trans feminists view gender conformity as a control mechanism of patriarchy, which is maintained via violence against trans and gender nonconforming individuals as a basis of patriarchy and trans misogyny. So yeah, basically this is just everything that I do on the all the time. This is just what I do on the all the time. Tactics of trans feminism from groups such as the Transsexual Menace, In response to exclusion of transgender people in pride marches, the group organized indirect action focusing on violence against trans people, such as the murder and rape of Brandon Tina, a trans man. Protests, blah, 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 whatever. So I think trans feminism is what I am doing. And like, if, you know, Ofi Doki, that lesbian feminist that we were talking about really when we were talking about the Hunger Games and like the epilogue of Katniss having babies and stuff, she started her video being like, this is a feminist critique of the Hunger Games. And I thought about it, like, I don't ever think of what I'm doing in that context, but like everything that I do related to gender is a feminist critique, kind of. Or like, I guess I also was doing feminist critique of the Hunger Games when talking about the epilogue, but I just don't ever think of it that way. And then the concept of trans feminism being this basically like, I guess I sort of associate this with third wave feminism, which the Wikipedia article does talk about, like compared to other types of feminism. Yeah, I don't know. So I just don't really think about my work as being related to trans feminist philosophy, but it certainly is that. And I guess I've been wondering lately about the, like, why, like, what we call ourselves and why. Like, now that I know about the term transfeminism and I've read a little bit more about it, and I know, like, basically this is the word to describe what I'm doing. If I were to, like, so I'm working on my Mulan video, and I have been using terms like queer lens or queer theory and stuff, and I feel like I'm more likely to use that term than I am to say this is a trans feminist analysis of Mulan. But maybe part of that resistance is that trans feminism is like not very well known. It's like not a term that I see used very often. So for shorthand reasons and because it's equally accurate, I feel like, I guess, yeah, maybe that's the problem, is that I feel like the term queer, like queer politics, queer activism, how many syllables? Queer activism, transfeminism. See, you're not even saving on fucking syllables. I guess I would just use like, I'm doing a queer analysis rather than I'm doing a trans feminist analysis. If we look at Mulan through a queer lens, or if we look at Mulan through a trans lens, I just can't imagine saying trans feminist, even though it is the academically correct term. Why would transfeminism only be about trans women? That doesn't make sense. Yeah, at the very minimum, because feminism is also not only about women to start with. Kitty says it takes about 3 months to learn how to take good wedding photos. It takes an undetermined amount of time to get good working with people who are stressed. It really depends on your person. True. Yeah, wedding photography is its own kind of unique thing. There are other things you could do. You can do senior photos. You can even do school portraits. Like one of the photographers that I have known does them for a private school. Like does the portraits for a private school. So yeah. You're on something of a feminist frequency. I kind of forgot about Anita Sarkeesian for a few years there. She's still doing stuff. Like, she's making stuff on Nebula, and I think that's perfect for her. Like, that, yeah. Do it on Nebula. Man, I need to get more black shirts is what I'm learning. Seriously, wearing a black shirt, we get more people in here than when I'm wearing a colored shirt. It is so fascinating. But I was also thinking of like the term bisexual, and like technically I am that, but I do not identify as bisexual. I identify as queer. So maybe this is just again my same tendency to be like, yeah, I just want to use the word queer. Everything comes back to queer. Black is the best non-color. Yeah. I'm gonna have to cultivate two different wardrobes. A wardrobe of clothes that I wear for Takis, and a wardrobe of clothes that I wear to leave my house. Because I can't wear fucking black outside my house for the most part. The internet has decreed you can't wear green. True. Goths can't wear green. Is there a gnat in here? Jesus Christ. Something happened last week. Someone was like, are you going to talk about this? And I didn't. Oh, the Steam and Itch. Like, Itch is a games platform, I think. And the whole thing is that they didn't remove, but they delisted from search any content that they declared like pornographic. And of course that included a bunch of totally non-pornographic queer art. And they've been putting on a lot of pressure. It's like, I guess I don't have a lot to add because they're already seeming to make some progress with just constantly calling Visa and like putting pressure. Because the reason why Itch changed these rules is because of Visa's policies. So that's why people are calling Visa. And I'm like, they're doing it. Steam went from good guys to bad guys in one move. Right, yeah. Like, it's our God-given right to have porn games on Steam, dude. There's a like, I already have to give you my birthday. BE says, I have two sets of clothes. One side of the closet is all black, everything, and the other looks like a rainbow unicorn threw up all over the place. Yes. Hell yeah, Shakespeare. Got a new ID, or got the application for a new ID with your real name on it. Fuck yeah. This whole Itch thing is just a few people in Australia pushing for a worldwide ban on anything they don't like. Right. We're definitely in a period of time where, you know, it's obviously super regressive. You know, like, it's obviously... We're having this conservative backlash, and... like, I don't know, man. It's just... shitty how quickly things can revert back to the way that they were, where I feel like we've gained all of this progress kind of incrementally over the last 20 or 30 years, let's say. I guess closer to 20 years, really, with... I don't know, we're encroaching on 30 years. Like, we still had a lot of the leftover AIDS stigma and queer stigma in the 90s. So basically, like, starting in the 2000s-ish, we've started incrementally seeing this change, and for it to just so rapidly slide all the way back is really disheartening. And that in some, obviously for queer people and like trans kids and stuff, it's actually regressing to a place that's worse than it was 20 years ago, because at least you could do things like without obstruction 20 years ago. Like, if you had affirming parents who wanted you to have access to healthcare, you could find a doctor that would give it to you, and it wasn't a contention of whether it was going to be legal or whether that doctor was going to lose their license or whether they were going to be subject to outrageous lawsuits. So we could just kind of do things. So yeah, in a way right now, the conservative backlash is taking us further back than we were even 20 years ago, when things were still not great. Or the acceptance wasn't overt at that time. But at least it was more live and let live. Hopefully we can get back towards progressive ideologies before AI takes over and completely ruins everything. Yeah, I think that the climate collapse stuff is going to happen before AI takes over everything, so don't worry about AI. Steam basically gave up control over their entire game library to Visa. Yeah, fucking awesome. Love that. And it's, I guess they're not making that content like unavailable. They're basically just making it to where you have to provide a literal state ID in order to access it, potentially. Yeah, conservatives want to push our rights into the Stone Age. Truly. I appreciate that response, BE. Like, BE in the YouTube chat was like, yeah, hopefully we can whatever before AI takes over. And then I had my response, and they're like, well, that's a relief. Exactly. Climate change is going to destroy things before AI destroys things, so don't worry about AI. Although AI is definitely worsening the climate change stuff. It's just, you know, it's only accelerating it a little bit. Things were already bad. Oh yeah, the tsunami. Speaking of things, okay, so my emotional response to the earthquake tsunami situation has been pretty non-existent. I don't really feel any type of way about the whole, like, I just don't really feel like, oh no, that's a crazy, oh no, like, I think partially because it's not something that anyone could have done anything about unless what I'm about to do is learn that the warming of the earth is going to increase the frequency of earthquakes. Because, yeah, it's just like, yeah, well, what the fuck do you do about earthquakes? Like, it's just a thing that the planet does. Cool, whatever. And so it was like a really big earthquake, 8.8. It's number 6 in the list of top 10 strongest earthquakes since we started recording that information. So it's number 6 in the strongest earthquakes that have ever happened on this planet, as far as we know. And obviously, like, the tsunami in Japan was a bigger deal. And we technically had a tsunami on the west coast here. But and I guess another part of the reason why I wasn't super concerned about it is, like, first of all, I live far enough inland that I'm not really concerned about anything happening at the coast. But also because what we got here was, like, I mean, I guess up to 24 hours, but like a few hours of, what was it? Like maybe 3-foot waves, and high tide was like about 2 meters higher. But yeah, obviously, you know, don't go to the ocean when there's a tsunami event occurring. But yeah, I don't know. It just seems like on the scale of things that happen, I feel a lot less bad about that than I feel about something like hurricanes, which we know we are making worse. That's us. That's something we're doing. And obviously, the other issue with this is it is like the more disasters happen, regardless of whether they're human instigated or not, this administration is working to dismantle warning systems. So obviously, you know, that is a relevant point here, that even things like earthquakes and tsunami and other weather events, we just are going to have less and less warning of, on top of everything else, which seems like the most insane shit. Like, truly, it's the least understandable thing that this administration has done. I guess, are they going to privatize it? Like, is there something that they're going to expect us to pay $2 to subscribe for every month to get notified of adverse weather events? Like, holy fucking shit, dude. This fascism is to be expected when state and capital interact and how powers are distributed in the state and capitalism. I mean, yeah. Because, like I said, everything is about trying to get you to pay money for something. So the porn ID laws are just a test run before they block all LGBTQ plus / atheist / other religious content. Sure, yeah. I mean, I do think that the porn ID law thing is a stepping stone to, yeah. And they've even said it on Project 2025. Like, they consider trans people to be pornographic and therefore inappropriate for children. And so they will treat trans content and LGBTQ content online as pornographic, even if it's just strictly educational and, you know, stuff like, here's what this word means. Even that content could be prosecuted criminally as pornographic, potentially, if the log gets stretched far enough. So yeah, I mean, it is certainly the way to get in the door on that. Kitty says the overcorrection is pretty rough. I never count on a climate collapse, but I also do not fear AI because if it manages to exist, it won't be some evil entity. It would be way beyond our concepts of existence and thought. Tsunami only registered as a blip to me once I knew its location, mostly annoyed because the whole ring of fire is getting super agitated, which means Cascadia might let go anytime. What did any of that last part mean? The ring of... I don't know what the ring of fire is. Is that... Cascadia might let go anytime? I don't know what that means. BE says, hell, I wish I was pornographic. Yeah. The pictures I took earlier before stream were not... Like, literally, I was just in my underwear, but... I don't know. Maybe what I'm realizing is that I actually do feel like I am extremely sexy, and I only feel bad about my body when I'm overthinking it. But when I actually take pictures, I'm like, wow, that's so sexy. I need to ask my partner before I post them. Yeah, Viren points out most humans live near water because turns out water is important. Wow. So emergencies and disasters that impact the coasts do impact a lot of people. Totally. Ring of Fire is the volcanic ring that goes through the West Americas and circles around through Japan and the Pacific Islands. Okay, cool. Okay, so it's like a really big... I knew that we had a bunch of volcanoes or like potential volcanic activity here because we have a mountain range. Like, duh. There's magma activity and shit. Okay, yeah, and it borders the entire Pacific. Okay, cool. So it goes around the entire... There's like a tectonic plate. Okay, cool. I just had never heard of it referred to that way. But good to know. But are we worried about sort of the big one, but Oregon version and not like the big one San Andreas version? Bro, I am gonna Google it though. Am I about to be bummed out to find that we are late here in Cascadia? Okay, we're late for a big like tectonic shift. That's exciting. Okay, apparently we do... Well... okay, so there's a NASA article that says climate-related stress changes might or might not promote an earthquake to occur. We don't have a way of knowing as of 2019. This article... Colorado State University study links climate change and earthquake frequency. So there's a study demonstrating that climate change can affect the frequency of earthquakes. Okay, apparently this is something that could be related. This article from Scientific American says that climate change may influence seismic activity as melting glaciers reduce pressure on quake-prone faults. Cool, so that's fun. I'm glad to know that now. Yay! Seattle is built on a pyroclastic flow from Mount Rainier. Mount St. Helens blew up in 1980. The whole Cascade Mountain region we are sitting on is highly active. Heavy quakes can cause our plate to slip and trigger volcanic action. Cool. How likely is that to, like, have a negative impact on people for... Because, like, obviously, if... Okay, yeah, volcano blows might fuck up, like, one growing season, depending on what time of year it is. But then there's a bunch of ash everywhere, which is, like, good. Is it predicted to be, like, a big problem? Oh, here we go. Oregon.gov. Hold up. The Cascadia subduction zone is a 700-mile fault that runs from Northern California up to British Columbia and is about 70 to 100 miles off the Pacific coast shoreline. There have been 43 earthquakes in the last 10,000 years within this fault. The last earthquake that occurred in this fault was January 26th, 1700, with an estimated 9.0 magnitude. This earthquake caused the coastline to drop several feet and a tsunami to form and crash into the land. Evidence for this great earthquake came from Japan. Japanese historical records indicate that a destructive, distantly produced tsunami struck their coast on January 26, 1700. That's the same day. By studying the geological records and flow of the Pacific Ocean, scientists have been able to link the tsunami in Japan with the Great Earthquake in the PNW. That's exciting. Oregon has the potential for a 9.0 plus magnitude earthquake caused by the Cascadia subduction zone and a resulting tsunami of up to 100 feet in height that will impact the coastal area. There's an estimated 5 to 7 minutes of shaking or rolling that will be felt along the coastline, with the strength and intensity decreasing the further inland you are. The Cascadia subduction zone has not produced an earthquake since 1700 and is building up pressure where the Juan de Fuca plate is subsiding underneath the North American plate. Currently, scientists are predicting that there is about a 37% chance that a megathrust earthquake of 7.1 plus magnitude in this fault zone will occur in the next 50 years. This event will be felt throughout the Pacific Northwest. With the current preparedness levels of Oregon, we can anticipate being without services and assistance for at least 2 weeks, if not longer, when the Cascadia subduction zone earthquake occurs. While this will be difficult to overcome, individuals, businesses, schools, government, and communities can take steps to prepare. Take action now by actively planning and preparing yourself and your community to be 2 weeks ready for disaster. Holy shit. Well, that's great. I mean, that's good to know. I feel like my prepper brain needed that information, because now I can be like, oh, bet I need to collect enough water to be able to have water for 2 weeks. That's a thing that I just found out that I need. I need to have 2 weeks of water stored at any given time. There are very few places in the world that do not have some sort of risk from natural disasters. Yeah, well, I knew about, like, wildfires up here. That's why I moved to the valley. I was like, see, there's not very many wildfires in the valley, and I'm far enough away from the coast that rising sea levels and flooding won't affect me, and et cetera, you know. But I guess I just I was looking at all these climate change things to do with temperature and stuff, and like food production, and I just didn't think about earthquakes. But I still would have chosen here, I think. It's like, that earthquake is going to happen and it's going to be a big deal and it's going to suck. But also, it's probably only going to happen once. So I feel like that's fine. I moved away from a regular hurricane target and am quite content with that exchange. Yeah, for sure. I would rather have something that's like, okay, I need to be prepared anytime for a big earthquake. Oh shit, man. I actually had been thinking about that, because in my kitchen I have a lot of stuff up high, and it's like glass. Like, I'll put my decorative glass up high on top of stuff, and I have considered. I'm like, oh yeah, that isn't. If an earthquake happened, that would just fall off. But then I'm like, yeah, whatever, it won't happen. Because I know that there are little earthquakes here. I mean, shit, we had little earthquakes in Kansas. I was just never awake for them. But yeah, maybe I should care about that more. FYI, most of downtown Portland is around 50-foot elevation. A 100-foot tsunami will travel up the Columbia River and potentially swamp the city. There's a reason I don't live in Portland. I live near Portland. I don't live in Portland. I've thought about these things. It's like, I was looking at the flood zone potential maps. Kenny says, we live at 110-foot elevation and about 1.2 miles from the ocean. We're going to get damp, but we'll probably be fine. Yeah. Wait, was Jazz Dog in here? Jazz Dog! I didn't give you a special color, so I didn't notice your name earlier. Hello, Jazz Dog. Good to see you. We listen to your music every time. And I put a little link and I say, go subscribe to Jazz Dog. Go to Bandcamp. You live in an ancient wetlands. If there was a bad enough quake that managed to let too many dams go all at once, the Willamette River might get pretty wet for a while. Oh, do you mean the Willamette Valley might get pretty wet for a while? Still not that bad overall. Get a good plan together for high ground in the event of a quake on land. Sure. Cadillac John, welcome in. First time in the chat. What's up? Love your green top. Thank you. I think, yeah, I really should have adjusted this so that this was up higher. But whatever. That's just how it's fitting today. Oh well. It's best to live on the west side of Portland. We've got some nice hills for sure. I've experienced one earthquake in my life. It wiggled my hospital bed right after getting diagnosed with cancer, which looking back is actually very amusing timing. You could view that as like a, you say something ominous and then the thunder cracks in the background kind of thing. I actually think I did get an influx of new subscribers from being on with R and Ra the other day. Like on Skeptalk, which that doesn't always happen. Like, you know, we do Takis every week, and I don't necessarily get new subscribers every time I do the Transatlantic Call-In show, even though I do shout out my channel typically. But yeah, we had like 1,000 concurrent viewers, and I think I've gotten like 15 new subscribers in the past day, and I'm like, cool, I've gotten a few more people. That's great. Now let me proceed to vomit out media analysis. He posted a clip of that stream to his channel in case you don't follow him. I don't follow him. I was helping RN in the background. He was like, I'm trying to figure out a way to download this video, but the audio won't download. And I was like trying to help him troubleshoot how to do it because he was like, I want to make a YouTube short. Yeah, I don't subscribe to him or follow him or whatever.
Hi,
Okay, he did post a 6.5-minute clip to his channel from our Skeptalk episode. So that's fun. Glad to get some cross-pollination there. I guess I should have tagged him. I guess I didn't know that he had a YouTube channel. I guess I should have tagged him in my community post when I said I was going live on the line, but oh well. I don't know how involved you are in it. I didn't watch it. Oh, okay. Well, let's scrub it real quick. I want to just see, like, hating and debating. There's like, okay, how much of this is me talking versus how much of this is RN talking? I think it's probably mostly going to be RN talking because he did most of the talking through the whole stream. I'm just, like, looking at the scrub bar, looking to see if my mouth opens even once to say something. Lots of smiling and facial expressions. I did say something. I did say something at the end. Okay, cool. Good to know. Solid. I'm not trans, but I love wearing ladies' clothing. My mom got me started in all of that. Are you sure? I mean, I guess, you know, there is such a thing as drag queens who just like to wear ladies' clothing occasionally. But I think that for most drag queens, it's something that they're like, yeah, but I really want to make sure I go back to being a boy before I interact with people very much. Mm. Yummy, yummy. Yeah, man, I am such a fucking prepper, dude. Man, there's like, man, come on. Ugh. Man, I like live in a rental, you know? And it's like, okay, if the big earthquake happens, the Cascadia subduction zone earthquake, man, now I'm like, man, I gotta get, like, I gotta get a grill. Like, I think I have to get, I'm like, how am I gonna cook food for 2 weeks? That's a sweet mug. Thank you. My mother-in-law has great taste. She buys me these. I think that originally this is like for coffee. I just made a larger than usual amount of tea today, so femboy could be argued as its own gender. Well, mm, I mean, I typically see people describe themselves as a femboy. Like, I've seen trans women describe themselves as a femboy. I describe myself as a femboy sometimes because I want it to be clear that, like, my identity skews, or at least I wanted it to be clear that my identity skews more masculine and that I'm feminine in appearance. But I don't know. I guess I never really thought of it being like its own. Could we call it like its own distinct non binary gender? Like femboy? I love Aaron Robb, but he is like a freight train. Once he starts, he just keeps going. Yeah. I just like being along for the ride. I still have no earthquake to my name, but I have seen a flash flood take a dry wash to a 50-foot wide, 20-foot deep river inside of 30 seconds. Starts from a trickle of water. I saw the clouds south of us and remembered why Mom said no playing in the wash during monsoon season. That was a lucky day. We all should have died. I'm glad that you didn't die. Yeah, rivers are fucking scary, dude. Even if they're only like a foot deep, if they're like swift enough, they can knock your feet out from under you. If you step on something slippery, like, be careful, bitch. It's its own gender is an easy thing for a thing to be, given that it's just how someone calls themselves. Yeah, fair enough. In the same way that lesbian is argued to be its own gender, boy carries certain social expectations which femboy eschews. Sure. I know that that was a thing in like the Victorian era, that lesbianism, like a lesbian was a third gender group, basically, socially speaking. Yeah, for sure. And like stud is a specific gender identity belonging to like non-conforming butch lesbians in the black community, or possibly like other people of color, but mostly black people. So yeah, we've got like lots of different kind of unique niche gender identities. Mm. Goddamn! I love tea. It's so delicious. Aaron's religious criticism is pretty good. Yeah. Again, if there weren't so many, maybe y'all weren't here. Hi, people who just came in recently. Hit the like button if you want to. And if you want to donate $5 or more on my website, luxander.net/live, you will find out what's in the box if we get to $100 in stream donations. We haven't gotten any donations today, and this is my job. Anyway, what's in the box? Shaky, shaky. I don't think we're going to find out today. And it might not be the same thing in there next time if we don't get it today. Broadly speaking, femboys are just femme boys. Fair. Excuse me. But I feel like it would be easier for Aaron to do good religious criticism if there weren't just insane people calling it. This is the problem. We had people call in who are like, genuinely, are you okay? Like, the things that you're saying are so unhinged that it's like, yeah, genuinely, are you okay? Oh my god, dude, can you stop? Man, I still haven't figured out the right products for my hair. It's very annoying. And I don't know why my hairline is so different on this side to this side. Like, I finally got it, like, the straight line on this side, and for some reason on this side, it's like, thinned out right here. I don't know. No, Drea, you did, like, a $50 donation last time. Don't apologize. I know rent's about to be due. I get it. I know. What earthquake? Yeah, we talked for like, yeah, 10 minutes about how like there's apparently supposed to be a big earthquake sometime in the Pacific Northwest. That one caller who was talking about 45-degree angles or something. Yeah, he was like the pineal gland and 40-degree angles and black matter, like dark matter and black holes and shit. And it's like, all right, calm down. Units, dude. Yeah. And we did have another guy call in who was asking a question about numerology, but he was at least like, someone else made this argument. Oh yeah, I opened this earlier. Gayfesh posted this link earlier, and oh hey, 38 people in here suddenly. Hit the like button, babes, if you just came in. Related to the fact that I'm making a video about Mulan, somebody tweeted on Blue Sky, Mulan was the first Disney movie to bravely tackle the subject of chasers. True. Listen, Shang was like turned off when he found out that she was a woman. And then he thought about it for a little bit and he was like, yeah, okay. I would, yeah, would. Is there any update on your potentially finding another job? So the job that I had applied to, they filled the position. And I mostly haven't been looking since then. Right now, I'm just like, what if I just did a better job at my current job? And we'll see how that goes. At least for the rest of this year. You know, I want to wait and think about it more later. So the channel is growing right now. I have more creative energy than I have for a while. I've got the podcast going with Gayfesh, which I do not get paid for, but it's a lot of fun. Like I said before the stream started, I took like some really sexual pictures, and so I'm thinking about trying to make money on Fansly again. So yeah, I'm just trying to invest my time in what I am doing and appreciating the fact that I have the ability to. Yesterday, I didn't work on anything related to the channel. You know, I streamed on Monday and was like, okay, Tuesday is like all stuff that's offline, you know, cleaning up the kitchen, working like on my kombucha, I'm doing dumb stuff like making, I was like, sometimes my trash can gets a little stinky, you know, when it's like almost full and I'm just not willing to take it out until it's like over full. And I'm making some little baking soda pucks to go underneath the trash can, like underneath the trash bag inside the trash can. So I'm just like homemade baking soda, cornstarch, tea tree oil. So I did a whole bunch of stuff yesterday. It was just all offline. And then today was mostly like getting myself physically in self-care mode, taking some pictures that I meant to put on Fansly, and then streaming. And then tomorrow I'll probably work on like the Mulan video, you know, and get back into it. So that's another thing that I appreciate about my job, is that it is flexible enough that if I have a hard day, I can just take the day off from it. You know, even with streaming, like streaming, I'm trying to do it as regularly as I can, even if I'm like, I'll do a short stream sometimes, but just doing it regularly. I've been having more and more appearances on the line, which is a big part of my income, and like posting more on Patreon and everything. So the traditional Sabbath Tuesday day of rest. I mean, I most certainly did not. It was not a Sabbath day. I'm gonna just, if there is a day of the week that I truly treat like a Sabbath, it's Saturday. But no, yesterday was like, I was going. Oh man, it's Wednesday, and it's almost Lunasa. Isn't that exciting? It's almost Lunasa. It's the August 1st pagan holiday, sometimes called Lammas, but that's like the Catholic way of describing it. But I'm excited because I'm gonna bake bread. I'm gonna bake bread on Friday. That's my plan, because that's when Lunasa is, and it's honoring the grain harvest. It's the last summer festival. Like, there's basically like Beltane, Solstice, and Lunasa are like the 3 summer festivals. It's also kind of technically the first autumn festival, but it's really more of like a late summer. But it honors the grain harvest and the god Lugh, and it's very good to have an excuse to redecorate every 6 weeks or so, which is kind of the point of those holidays as far as I'm concerned. Or I guess it's more like, wait, how much space is there between the holidays? About a month and a half. Yeah, so like 6 weeks. Yeah. Sabbath on a Saturday, too weird, I know. It's just the one day that I can spend with my partner and we go bowling, or this past weekend was Alterac Valley weekend in World of Warcraft, and so we just so much Alterac Valley. I didn't even do as much Alterac Valley as I should have done, and it was still so much AV. Oh my god. I'm trying to get PvP gear. I did get PvP gear, so at least I'm moving forward in the world. I know that Sabbath is Saturday. I know. It just also happens to be the one day a week that I'm willing to not expect anything of myself. Faulty Branches will also be baking bread. I've started making a loaf every weekend, and it's so much better and cheaper. Ooh, I did consider becoming a we bake our bread only person, but I don't actually know that that is sustainable for me in a can I actually make myself do this every week kind of thing. I'm more of a bake one loaf of bread per year and it's for Lunasa kind of person. Finally made it back home. Took the long way home. Much scenery. Very beautiful. Hell yeah, Mabs. That's nice. Ooh, I also went to the farmer's market this weekend. Okay. The great grocery struggle right now. I may have talked about this on Sunday. I can't remember. But I'm thinking about it now. So we're going to talk about it now. I have been trying to figure out, because groceries are fucking expensive, right? And like, we didn't have a Costco nearby before, but we do now. So I'm like, would it be worth it for me to get a Costco membership? There's like trade-offs though, right? Is like, you don't have as much choice on the brand. The Costco brand stuff is good quality, but more expensive than Walmart brand stuff. And they don't have curbside pickup. So you have to physically go and walk around the store. And that is a huge convenience, because I do pick up at Walmart every week. So it's easy to just like, I just go there, I park, somebody loads the shit into my trunk, and I leave. So there's like some trade-offs with that. And then also, I don't know if it would save me money. We've talked about getting a deep freeze. We might get a deep freeze if I start shopping at Costco. Or, you know, buying, like, where am I going to store all of this stuff is just like a question that has to be asked. And there's all a bunch of other stuff too. Like, you can get cheaper glasses. They have a pharmacy. Their pharmacy is one of the ones that carried Novavax. So it might be good to just be able to get Novavax and stuff. And I do tend to already prefer to buy in bulk. You know, I recently bought a thing of toilet paper, and I bought the biggest available of the type of toilet paper that I wanted. I just did it at Walmart and not Costco. So yeah, I don't know if I would save money at Costco. I would definitely not save time. I would be walking around the store having to pick up my shit. But I could also go to the store once a month instead of once a week. Potentially, if I have enough storage space for all my shit. And then there's the whole fresh produce thing. And this is kind of what led me into talking about this with you, is that I've been starting to go to farmers markets more. Yeah, you can use food stamps at the farmers market. That's a good point. We are not impoverished enough to qualify for food stamps. But it's like, I would like to buy my produce locally, or at the very minimum, not at fucking Walmart. So I challenged myself this week. I was like, this week, I'm going to try to get all of my produce locally. And it's easy to do because it's easy to do because, oh no, I lost my train of thought. Oh, there's so many farms and farm stands and farmers markets here, and I have my car now, so it's really easy to get to any place to get local food. So this week I went to the farmers market and I actually got a bunch of peaches, which I need to eat quickly because they're going bad. um, I got zucchini for a meal that I made last night. I got, I guess the one kind of produce that I did buy from Walmart this week was lemons, because I was like, there's no fucking way I'm gonna find lemons at the farmer's market. Uh, but I bought zucchini. I bought carrots, which have these huge carrot tops that I'm probably gonna just dehydrate, like I did with my carrot tops from my garden plot last year, because you can use it as a parsley-like topping, or rather like a dried herb. You can put that in like your soups and shit like that. So what else did I buy? Zucchini, peaches, carrot. I bought an onion, and that might be it. So it was nice to, I like went and like talked to people in person, and I bought local food, and I don't think it was cheaper than it would have been otherwise, but also I didn't enrich the Waltons even further. Like, that money stays in my local economy. And of course, as a person who is anticipating that the broader global economy is going to struggle and potentially collapse within the next 10 to 20 years, I do think it's important to invest in local farms, because the more they can produce locally, the better off we will be longer term. I'm actually even thinking of joining a CSA, but it's too late in the year for me to do that. Maybe I'll look into it next year. But it's, you pay like a lump sum in early spring, like upfront, and then throughout the rest of the year, you can receive vegetables and other shit. Or I don't know, this one works like you have to pay a minimum subscription fee each month, but it counts as like credit to your account, and then you buy things with the credit that you've loaded. I would really rather just do a CSA that's like, you just pick up a box of random shit. They just give you a good assortment of vegetables every week or whatever throughout the whole growing season. But yeah, at the very minimum, I think it's good to go to farmers markets and be prepared to spend all of the cash that you bring with you. I actually didn't. I brought $40 with me, and I only spent $34, and $15 of that was on the peaches that I did not need. So technically, I could have gotten... Oh, wait, hold on. What did I not get? I got the zucchini. I didn't find parsley, although parsley is kind of superfluous. Oh, potatoes. I bought potatoes. Some beautiful little tiny potatoes. I got my carrots. I got a yellow onion. I did not get a bell pepper. I meant to get a bell pepper, a red bell pepper, but they're not quite in season yet. Although I realized, I was like, oh, you know what? I still have half a bag of frozen bell pepper parts in my freezer from last week. So convenient. And then, yeah, I got the peaches. That's the fresh fruit that was on my list. And then honey, I still need to see about going to another farmer's market or another farm stand and try to see if I can get some local honey, because I would love that. Costco, you definitely want to time things, as they can get busy in afternoons. I am a morning errands person. I'm just gonna get up in the morning and do it as soon as I can. And the executive membership at Costco gets you in the store 30 minutes before everybody else. So, bet. I would do that. Financial collapse in 10 to 20 years? I worry you're being a bit optimistic. I mean, I think 20 years is the optimistic view. But also, I think it's important to note, and I should have said this earlier. You know, we were talking about upcoming climate collapse or economic collapse. Like, anytime we're talking about this, I feel like it's probably important to note that there will likely not be one clear moment of collapse. In retrospect, there might be. We might be able to look back and go, this was the moment that everything went to shit. Or maybe like this 3 to 6 month period of time, or this 1 year was when all of this accelerated and happened. But I don't think that we living through it will be able to tell when the pivotal moment has occurred. Like, climate collapse obviously is regional. You'll get a storm here, a storm there, an event here, a wildfire there, blah, blah, blah. It's not going to hit all at once, and it's also not going to hit everyone. So it's going to be just kind of like a process in that way. And I think it's a similar deal with the economic collapse is that there probably won't be one clear moment. I think that we're just living through it right now where it's like, okay, the things are reaching a kind of tipping point where the homelessness problem has exploded because so many people can't afford a place to live and so many people can't find a job and everything. Like, it's certainly not a result of people's individual choices. That is just what the economy is producing right now. The economy is great at producing homeless people. I've never heard of using carrot tops like that. It's such a shame how much stuff gets thrown away. Yeah, totally. There's like a bunch of different things you can do with like the parts of the vegetable that you don't usually eat. Even like the top part of an onion, you know, like, I mean, it's not true with every single vegetable in your garden, but like, yeah, the top part of an onion is usable. It's just going to have a different flavor than the straight up onion itself, but don't waste it. Carrot tops, you can take the greens and blend them into smoothies. They're a little bit bitter, so you don't want to put too much in there. They, yeah, you can dehydrate it, use it like parsley. You can use it as a garnish, like you would use parsley, like if you have fresh carrot greens. They're just beautiful. You can chop them up and put them in your stock when you make a vegetable stock. Carrot top pesto, yes. That is a great one. I was thinking about doing that, but I don't have a food processor that's big enough. For some reason, my partner bought a little teeny tiny food processor. It's on my list of things that I want for the kitchen is like a proper high quality food processor. So I can't really make pesto yet. A lot of product refuse can be boiled down into soup stocks. Yeah, that's like the number one way to do it. Yeah, put the vegetable scraps in the freezer. And that's typically what I do with the tips of carrots. Like usually when you buy it at the store, it doesn't have any of the greens on it, like when you buy it at Walmart. But the tips of it, I usually save. And I did make a vegetable broth at one point, but I think my mistake was I included too many onion skins. Like, you know, just like the parts of the onion that I had on there were just like too much skins. They impart a bitter flavor. So maybe I just need to redo that. But that's the easiest option. And then since those vegetable scraps have already been kind of heated through and broken down, you can then compost them or just chuck them out into the yard or whatever. And they'll go away pretty quickly. Would cream cheese and vanilla almond milk be good blended into lentils for pancakes? Girl, I don't know. I am not one of those people who does that. I have not been yet, maybe yet. I do see videos online of people who do, yeah, like, ooh, check out this high protein cookie and it's full of beans. And the guy, oh man, I don't know his channel name or anything. I don't even follow him. I just see him on my Facebook timeline all the time. He's a skinny guy who looks at these recipes and rates them out of 10 and then says K-bye at the end. But he was like, oh yeah, I tried this cookie. I made this cookie with beans in it. And it tastes like a cookie. Like you almost wouldn't be able to tell that it's like a protein thing. So yeah, maybe someday I will become a person who fucking whizzes lentils up with milk to make a pancake. I just am not yet there. Not yet. Maybe I should be. I am now at a place where I'm buying protein cookie snacks. Like, I do have some Quest brand double chocolate chip protein cookies in my office. So maybe I should just fucking do it myself. I used red onions once to make a stock and it turned it into a popsicle purple color. I love that you can dye things with plant parts. It definitely seems like the type of thing that I'm going to get into someday. Like, natural dyes. I'm becoming the hippie mom. I think I said this on Sunday already. I'm becoming the hippie mom, but just minus the being a mom part. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, so I made dinner last night that involved using 3 lemons. And so I zested the lemons. It required the lemon zest, and I squeezed the juice from all the lemons. So I'm just left with these lemon husks, right? What do you do with that? Oh, it's useless. Just chuck it in the trash. You can't even put it in the compost because it won't break down and you don't want the acidity in your compost. Guess what, bitches? I put them in jars with vinegar. So I can infuse some vinegar with some like lemon juice and lemon oil. And then I'm going to use that to next time I'm cleaning my floors. Big brain, bitches. Get the most out of everything. I tried the vegetable scrap freezer stock thing. I didn't eat enough of a variety of veggies for it to work. You don't do anything with a mirepoix or sofritas? Like carrot, celery, onion, boom. That's all you need for a vegetable stock. Carrot, celery, onion. Or even just onion and carrot. Like, you know. I finally got a blender and have a bunch of red lentils. I also bought some bagels and cream cheese. The bagels went bad too soon, so I have extra cream cheese. I mean, you can always try. Let me know. Whiz up some lentils with cream cheese and tell me how that goes. I guess if you whiz it up, it'll whip air into the cream and make it, like, more spreadable and, like, give it a lightness. But I don't know what adding lentils will do to it, so sorry. I can't give you any advice on that. Is my tea gone? No! My tea is gone. So sad. Lemon rinds can be great candied as well. That's true. I don't know if it works so well after they've already been zested, but maybe. I did think about doing that the next time I buy a bunch of oranges, too. Like the rinds. You could candy them. You could do an infusion like I'm doing with the vinegar right now and the lemons. Yeah. Waste not, want not, etc. Tea being gone is one of the worst disasters in the known universe. It's so sad. Also, we have the same glasses. The same glasses. Oh, you know what? I'm a person who forgets to wear their glasses. I can still see well enough that I don't technically, like, capital N need them, but I've just not worn my glasses at all today. Cool. That's good. Thanks for reminding me that I should have put those on. I was reading before bed last night. I was reading Earthsea, so my glasses are in my bedroom. Green looks good. Thank you. Yes. I wish, I don't know. I wish that this shirt, like, is supposed to be able to button up all the way up here. So I think maybe that's why, but I'm like, I wish it would hang open more. I'm like, I want this shirt to be about 10% sluttier than it is. Okay, Kitty says, so we are technically already living through all of what we're talking about. The climate tipping point was 3 to 5 years ago. The economic tipping point was the tech bubble bursting in 2001. Everything since then has been a mad scramble to convince people that things are fine while they dissolve into chaos twice a decade. Unless someone decides to nuke the satellite network and wipe out worldwide comms, we probably just get to live like this in some fashion forever because enough people can be convinced not to panic. Humans gonna human and probably will survive almost anything. Well, okay, so comms will be affected by climate change, right? We've already seen wires lighting on fire, melting infrastructure pipes. We're currently in a very active period of solar activity, but I don't think that's necessarily going to affect comms in a broad sense, like an EMP sense. Especially because if it's peaking now, it's not going to stay like that for much longer. And so many different places are going to have climate-related problems and economic-related problems that, I do feel like there is going to be some point where life as we are currently living it is going to be dramatically different than it is now, but that change will be gradual enough that it'll be like we look back 20 years and go, wow, can you believe we used to live our lives like that? But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I hope I get to see it. Pin the flaps of your shirt open with nipple clamps. True. For the umpteenth time, we need to start looking into archaeology tech. Archaeology tech? Or do you just mean like how ancient Egyptians had batteries and shit like that. I mean, I'm not saying that humans are going to die all everywhere, but it's just like a lot of us will. And arcology, not archaeology. Okay, I don't know what that is. But yeah, so I don't want to offer the opinion that like every human is gonna die, but I mean, according to the predictive model that I cite all the fucking time, we will have a global population drop back down to 2 billion around like by the time 2100 comes around. So, I'm not saying that everyone is going to die, but that lots of people will for sure. Arcology is the idea of housing people in megastructures to reduce our footprint. Okay, sure. It's like we just have to, if we're housing a lot of people in one area, we just have to make sure that the infrastructure is solid there in a way that's like, resistant to earthquakes and shit. Like, we have a big fuck off river in the middle of the valley, and if the bridges go down, like, sometimes there just is no other way to get across the river. So, we're definitely going to be needing to deal with the potential for earthquakes and stuff along, and like fires and everything. Arcology was the end stage thing you could build in SimCity. That's fun. Get rid of vehicle transport, get rid of roads and houses spreading all over along with transmission lines and such. Put the land back into a natural wilderness. Okay, so there's a practicality question, right? I'm going to set aside for the moment. Do I believe ideologically that we should regress our society to that point? I don't know, man. I put a very, very, very high personal value on having a vehicle, like having a car. Like, I think part of the reason why I was so depressed for a couple months there is because I just couldn't fucking go anywhere. Like, oh, my partner gets home in the evening. Well, guess what? I have very little time, and it's in the middle of rush hour traffic, so I can't go anywhere, and then I have to make dinner. Saturday, my one day to do grocery shopping, because Sunday is a work day for me. So one day a week, I was leaving the house to go to pick up my grocery order and maybe like go do something with my partner, like go bowling or something. And that was fucking it. And I place a huge value on that for me personally, the ability to go places. So I just don't know if I agree with the idea that we should not have the infrastructure to go places. Or that like, that we should, I'm not like an anarcho-primitivist where I'm like, we should go back to not having the internet or electricity. I just feel like let's try to do things that are that in a more sustainable way. Can we do that? I don't know. Is it possible for us to regress to a lifestyle where we don't have chocolate at every convenience store? Like, I don't know. We are all going to die, Joni Ernst. True. Gotta hitch up your horse and buggy. I mean, a horse is just like a whole fucking thing you have to take care of. Like, it requires so much more maintenance than a car. But if the world ends and there's no gasoline, then sure, yeah, I'll get a horse. Having a vehicle is my greatest privilege. Being able to sleep in it and make my appointments keeps me afloat and surviving until I can get sustainable housing. Yeah, and but of course, like, if we're living in an arcology scenario, then people don't need a car to potentially live out of because their living arrangements are taken care of. We need a car because the things we want to go to are far away. If you can walk to anywhere you want to go or take a train out to natural locations or other megastructures, there simply is no need for personal vehicles. The infrastructure to get around would be built into the arcology. Maybe. Yeah. I'm like, even stuff within the area that I live. I'm like, oh, if there's a park that I want to go to across town, like, it would take a long fucking time to walk there. But that's, I guess, why you have buses and stuff. But do you have buses in a situation where you're trying to have fewer vehicles and like change the road systems? Do we just have like bus-only roads with bike lanes. I guess maybe that could work. The concept of the line in Saudi Arabia is an arcology type project. Yeah, because it's supposed to be like you never need to leave it, right? Like you can just live in it permanently and like never have to go anywhere. It would be like if we had apartments in a mall, is kind of how I envision the line in Saudi Arabia. Me personally, I'm just getting superpowers so I can run really fast everywhere. True. Yeah, that's my plan. Man, I wish I had more tea. That's such a bummer. Ooh, you know, I did kind of randomly go pee at 3 o'clock, so I kind of forgot about taking my midstream break. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take my midstream break now. I'm gonna refill my water and rest my voice for a second, and then come back. And as far as I know, we're planning to go all the way until 6. We'll just keep shooting the shit until there's no more stuff for me to say. So I'm just gonna be gone for about 5 minutes. I'll put on some music for you guys. Oh, actually, before I go, I have a question. Should I be having ambient music in the videos all the time? Like, at the very minimum, like, some ambient, like, sound in the background so that if I have a moment of silence, like, you guys don't wonder if the stream has ended. Like, just a little bit of, like, maybe a 30-minute long vibes-only music to just, like, put on repeat anytime I'm talking. Just, like, have some, like, I don't know, just in the background. If you've ever watched Star Trek, living and getting around in an arcology would be very similar to that. Walkways and promenades and elevator/subway type systems to get around. Cool. Yeah, I've been watching a shit ton of Steve Shives videos the last few days. Even about... I never have seen Voyager or Deep Space Nine or anything, and I'm just, like, watching those videos because I like Steve Shives, it turns out. I've known about him for forever, but I only just was like, oh, yeah, let me watch some of these videos. The line city seems flawed. Like, what if something like a train or utility breaks in the middle of the line? Are people on the two ends just screwed? Yeah, I don't know. Potentially. Malena! Hello. DS9 is such a good show. Yeah, I might have to get around to it eventually. Anything involving concentrating a population into one dense area makes me uncomfy given recent history. I think that's fair. Okay, I'm just gonna take a little 5-minute break. Let me get my jazz dog. Drea says, I enjoy the sound of silence. Okay, so Drea's vote is no on ambient music on stream. I hate it when streamers have music in the background. Okay, well, I don't mean like... I just mean something that's like gentle and like just more like ambient noise. But I don't know. Maybe I'll pull something up later as an example. But right now, we're gonna listen to some Jazz Dog. Okay? I'll be back in about 5 minutes. What? We're back. Hello. I had to get my hair out of my face. It's pissing me off. It doesn't look cute. I don't think it really looks cute now either, but see my little butterfly? Ay, ay, ay. He's my little butterfly. I love how I just got back from some jazz dog music, and then I'm like, let's flashback everybody to DDR times. DDR times. You know, I don't actually have a plan for stream ever anymore, so it's just kind of like whatever we talk about is what we talk about. Although, like, I guess it's a social environment where we just talk about what's going on, and therefore most of the time I'm just like, here's what I'm doing lately. Fucking Katie Montgomery like streaming on the same day as me. How dare she? Bro, Steve Shives has a coffee mug in the background of some of his videos that says, "Don't talk to me until I've had my abortion." I'm like, dude, what the fuck? No. Just very surprising when I noticed it. Some background music during talks sounds like a good way to compensate for background noise on the mic. Not so much an issue here. Hi, Mr. Baby. Yes, that's you. Yes, it is. We had someone visit this week, and I was telling them, like, yeah, my cat's name is Mr. Baby, as far as he knows. I don't even think I told them what his actual name is. And then they were like, oh, look at this chonker. And I was like, yes, exactly. See? But it's interesting that y'all are like, yeah, background noise, not an issue. Background music, not necessary. Because, like, I feel like my AC is so loud. And it kicks on and off during the show. And, like, when we're recording with Gayfesh on the podcast, like, I can see little bits of it popping up. So I'll mute myself when my AC comes on while we're recording the podcast. But apparently it's never an issue while I'm streaming or whatever. So I guess, you know, I'll take that. Okay, back on arcologies. Arcologies' biggest flaw is if you close in too much of the population in one place, you're risking the whole species going off one bad plague or a food source disruption. Too many eggs in one basket. I could see that potentially being the case. In the same way that you don't want to have a monoculture for your agriculture. You want to rotate crops and separate crops. Like, if you're growing different brassicas, you should separate them. Because if you have a blight that takes out all of your broccoli, then at least your cabbage will make it. You know, like, you have to keep them separated. Gotta keep them separated. Anyway, so it kind of makes sense. Like, yeah, if, you know, let's say we live in village times and we have different villages, then it's like, okay, well, maybe somebody gets sick in one village and it's like the bubonic plague and it kills everybody. But at least it's only like 100 people. And then, like, the next village over that has 100 people, like, is okay. I don't know. And I think that, like, when you push a lot of people into one area, you end up, like, you're you know, concentrating the population in a way, which can reduce impact on, like, a greater... Okay, let's say this line building. Let's say we get to, you know, everybody in 100-mile radius lives inside this place. Like, there's nobody living 100 miles anywhere near this thing. Or a couple 100 miles, whatever. Then, like, technically, like, all of that other land can be rewilded, except that there's going to be a concentrated area probably immediately near the line where it has to be agricultural. So it'll basically be like a city, but just like a super concentrated city. into a very small amount of space. And it's like, in order to maintain that, you still have to exploit the surrounding area. Whereas if we lived in a more decentralized way, which I think is what I want, like, I want to live in a decentralized way, but where there's plenty of travel still. So if we live in a decentralized way where we are like smaller populations scattered around a wider area, then we cumulatively can have like less environmental impact, I think. I'm not sure though. I really like to think about the possible ways that we could live, understanding that I will never actually know how we can do any. Yeah, no, and I wouldn't assume that you mean, if you're bringing up arcology, I would not assume that you mean fit all of humanity into a single location. It's not possible. And I would, that would be a very bad faith interpretation of what you're saying. But yeah, even if we're just talking about like, you know, taking the population of one city and concentrating it into an arcology, I don't know. I just feel like that, like the level of technology and cooperation involved there would be, and like, yeah, I have this feeling like it would have a more impactful environmental effect than decentralized communal living. I don't know though. I mean, and I guess in a way the spaceship is an arcology, right? Like, like everything has to be within the confines of the spaceship if you're going to be on it for any length of time. Yes, true, we do horribly mismanage the land we use. Aztec and Mayan cities were like solar punk arcologies. Maybe I should do some research on Aztec and Mayan cities. If I'm like, how do we do things sustainably in a way that does not involve the technology that we presently have? Like, that would be the example to go to. Surely there would have to be at least a few thousand big egg cities, hardly a colony collapse concern. Sure, yeah. Hydroponic and aeroponic systems could help with land use, I'd think. Yeah, if we move toward like the vertical gardening model and do like aquaponics, hydroponics and aeroponics systems. Is this why sci-fi is so great? Because sci-fi can just be like, what if we did all these crazy things? We would obviously still have to use the land, but the overall footprint would be drastically reduced versus what we have now. Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna say poo-poo is a bad idea. I just feel like a reflexive... Maybe it's just because I have a preference for, like... Dude, man, I just don't want to be around that many people. I guess it depends on the scale of the arcology. If it's an arcology with 100 people, instead of like a village with 100 people, okay. I'm interested. But if it's an arcology that's meant to concentrate like the population of fucking downtown Portland, like, no. That's too many people in one... I'm gonna say one building, because I think that is, it's like a mega structure, right? Like, it is a building. Like, I'm asking, like, necessarily does arcology refer to, like, big self-contained buildings? Yes, sci-fi is built for exploring ideas. Kitty says, if each of these arcologies had 1 million people in it, it would take 80,000 of these settlements. It would also require you to take enough resources from the surrounding environment to build the, quote, arc. This is why getting off-world is a bad idea. It takes too many resources and would wreck the Earth's environment if we don't use asteroids. Interesting. Sci-fi can get around the fact that so many of the arguments against these ideas are forced into the existing society as it exists right now. With arcologies, our life and our society would be much different. Truly, yeah, like maybe this is one of those like failures of imagination as a result of just being in the society that I'm in now. Like, I have a hard time imagining a society without cars because I personally value my car so much. So, but if I didn't have that value, or if like it's cyclical, if I hadn't grown up around cars and then gotten my own car and experienced it as a very significant form of freedom and autonomy, you know, I wouldn't be attached to it, obviously. And then, like, maybe I would be better able to imagine having an alternate mode of travel, or like maybe not even prioritizing and valuing travel in the way that I do. I don't know. Like, everybody who I'm friends with in the Pacific Northwest lives in Seattle, and that's like a 3.5 hour drive by car on a highway. I mean, I guess the situation would just be like there's a high-speed train and it takes 30 minutes to get there. Like, I guess that's the solution in this hypothetical society. An arcology would include residential, commercial, and industrial all in one and be designed to be heavily self-sufficient. I do sometimes wonder how much cultural inertia has doomed humanity. See, I think the issue that I take with that is the fact that this is still in an industrial society. Maybe you meant that word differently, but like, I feel like industrial, like, does that mean that there's big pipes on this building where pollution is still being pumped into the society, like, or like pumped into the air? Like, I don't know. Biggest flaw is like that anyone would agree to do these arcs. That's true. Can you imagine if Seattle and Portland were one unit and you could simply take the tube to see your friends in another sector? Yeah. Dude, maybe I am a degrowth anarchist. I'm not an anarcho-primitivist, but I am a degrowth anarchist. I do think I genuinely believe that, like, the types of organizations, emissions, and regulations that could go into something like having a globally connected economy or like having high-speed rail everywhere, like, I think maybe I just don't think that's a good thing. I don't know, maybe if we could do everything super duper clean. I just feel like every single thing that we do technologically is reliant on some form of insane exploitation in a way that makes me feel like it's not possible to do without extreme exploitation. I don't know. Industrial just refers to the manufacturing needs of the people living there. Yeah. I think I might just be against manufacturing. Pork Chop Express says everything about Mars is lethal. If we lived off world, the moon is the best shot. I completely don't agree with the idea of trying to do settlements on inhospitable pieces of rock. Like, I don't think there's any situation where I'm going to be like, that's a good idea. I just rewatched The Martian, and it's like there's so many things that could go wrong. We have managed to accomplish carbon neutral steel and concrete. That is good. That's positive. This could also be as simple as having everyone with a 3D printer in their home capable of printing most items they need using recyclable materials. I will say that it is super convenient to have a 3D printer. Although I say that with my 3D printer, like, not set up still, even though there is something that I need to print, and I need to, like, actually maybe disassemble the printer and put it back together, though. So, to be fair, there's work in between me and accomplishing that goal. Has anything else happened this week that I should know about or talk about? Ha! There's an Onion article that says ICE confirms agents do not have faces beneath masks. Oh no. 3D printer to file government paperwork in tablet form. Yeah. Making the moon habitable would be far more difficult than reversing course on Earth, and we can't even manage to do that. Yeah. If there's any one thing I'm glad Neil deGrasse Tyson has said, it's that whatever anyone wants to do with Mars, it would be easier to do it with Earth. True. Yeah, any terraforming Mars to make it livable thing, you could just do that here, you know? could just make life livable and nice here. But no, like imagine treating Earth like the asteroid that you're just gonna mine down to its bare component parts. Imagine treating Earth that way. That's what these people want to do. They're like, we're gonna strip mine Earth. We're gonna destabilize the core by gouge mining this planet and colonize the fucking moon or like Mars or something. Like, dude, that's an insane take. Yeah, let's fix Earth. Wouldn't that be nice? Oh, did you guys see the poll for today? I put up a poll today. I don't know if you've seen. I'm gonna go over there and show you it. And we can look at the results so far and see if there is consensus. So I'm trying to post more on the posts tab, both for members and for the public. But today's poll is non-binary people are, and your choices are cool, drool, hot, or deserving of basic rights and dignities. This was a joke. I really wanted people to. Maybe I should have left it at cool, drool, and hot. But I was like, I'd feel like this is just a funny. It's funny to be very serious after being very flippant, in my opinion. So 62% of the 185 people who voted have said deserving of basic rights and dignities. Silly face. Livable Earth theory sounds kind of far-fetched. Jesus. If we could figure out a non-chemical propellant means of getting to orbit, built a jump station on the moon, and then another near Mars, not on it, and then mined the asteroids, we could move the super dirty portions of industrial work into space itself. And then, of course, we'd have horrible working conditions on space stations and mining colonies and ships. True! Yeah, we would definitely have space slavery, I think. If we went that way. It would be space slavery. Oh, it only just occurred to me after I put this butterfly in my hair that this harness is almost kind of like butterfly-ish. It's not, but it's almost kind of like butterfly-ish. Our planet will not be sustaining us to get to any kind of space-based solution, though, if we don't start fixing things now. Yeah, that's true. Non-binary for me can equal drool. Like, yo, androgynous dreamboats, carry me in your mystery. Well, so actually, so what's funny is I was kind of thinking of doing cool and drool as in cool and then drool as in hot. But it's cool versus drool. Like a drool is a nerd, you know? Flashback to the 80s and 90s. When you would say cool versus drool. But then I did put in hot with a hot emoji. And no one has voted drool as in nerdy. Is The Expanse a book? I haven't read The Expanse. See, I don't know anything about space elevators. That's two of you who've said something about space elevators. I don't know enough about them. Does that mean, like, you just, like, put things in the elevator, and this doesn't mean that it's, like, I feel like a space... Okay, and I'm about to say something very silly. I think that a space elevator would be ugly as fuck. Like, imagine looking at this beautiful planet and it just has a fucking elevator sticking off of it. Like, and of course it's gonna have to have a bunch of support shit like this around it. Man, that would be ugly as fuck. Oh no, I am a degrowth anarchist, aren't I? Uh-oh. Katie says, I guess my biggest issue with arcology, as a person who did spend a long time thinking that they were the answer, is I fear separating us from nature like that. It is the ultimate shortcut, and I think our biggest problem as a species is we have become too much in a rush. We don't want to live inside of a system, we want to enforce our system. That is an interesting point. Maybe that is part of it. I assume within the arcology they would have parks or something inside the building, right? Or like courtyard levels or something, like a top level that's maybe still in, or like levels where there's like a lot of artificial light enough that plants can live there. Like I feel like the arcology has to have parks and plants inside. But I think that that is different than being connected to nature. Like simply there being plants around is not a sufficient quality versus like being physically like having birds outside the window and things like that. Earth is cooler than Mars. True. Just put it to a vibes test. Just say like whatever. Earth's so like Mars is so like boring. Drool. Mars. Bleh. Earth is so much cooler. Big titty Earth mommy. Like Mars, if you like Mars, you're such a loser. But everybody who's here rooting for Earth, like, we're gonna suck those people's dicks, you know? Just make it purely vibes based. Degrowth, solar punk, anarchy. Is that who I am? And like I've heard you people say solar punk before, like, I'm sure that I've looked it up too. Like, do I just not remember what it is? And I'm like, I am a solar punk person, and I just don't know. I am quite fond of my liquid water. True. Tubian, thank you for the $5 donation on Super Chat. Who says, I say all four. Non-binaries are cool. They make me drool. They're hot and are deserving of basic human rights. True. Yeah, Mars got no tits, flat-chested. Birds could not fly in that thin-ass atmosphere. Yes, thank you, Tubian. I'll go ahead and add that $5 to my stream goal, even though I did intend for it to be only website direct donations, but we might not get to see what's in the box today. So if you donate directly on the website, we'll find out what's in the box. I'll show it to you in a second. Box? I don't think we're going to find out today. Everybody's saving money for rent, and I completely understand. And unfortunately, I probably won't put the same thing in here next time. Probably what's going to be in here next time I see you guys is going to be something else. So we're having a little bit of like, uh-oh. We're not going to see what's in the box today? Oh, so sad. Cry. So sad. Noah, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Rar capitalism. Indeed. Indeed. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate you. Okay. Just need to check something on my phone. Phone. Why do you do so many things? Okay, while I'm waiting for that. I missed what you said about space elevators. I just think that it would be ugly as hell. And I know that that's a really basic bitch thing to say. But I'm imagining looking at our beautiful planet suspended in space and seeing a fucking solar elevator sticking off the side of it. And it just really makes me sad. I don't know, man. Fully willing to admit that that's a me problem. All right, thank you for the tier 1 sub. That's $10 today. We are 1/10 of the way there. Space elevators are neat conceptually, but I would be surprised if they ever became more than fiction. Yeah. Am I correct in thinking, like, it is basically just an elevator where you are on Earth and you go straight up in a tube with supplies and stuff? So maybe it's big enough, like, it's big enough that a ship can fit in it, let's say. So you get in to the ship inside of the elevator, and then the elevator goes up and up and up and up and up and up until it is, like, away from Earth's gravity enough that it could use some other form of propulsion to then just move through space where there is very little friction and you don't have to worry about gravity. Like, I get that conceptually if that's what a solar elevator is, but again, I'm just like, man, it's like depressing to me how ugly that would be. Like, how, I don't know why I feel that way. I'd have to sit there and think about that a little bit more. Do I just not want to have a spacefaring society? Do I just fundamentally not want to have a society that is at that level of of industry and accomplishment? Maybe. I don't know. Faulty Branches says a space elevator would, in many of the current ideas, be a giant cable with the platform in space whipping around due to centrifugal force keeping it in space. The ground portion could be mostly buried, but the giant cable would still look rather ugly. Okay. I think they're experimenting with a space elevator in Mexico. I mean, cool. Conceptually, it's literally just a wire that an elevator wraps around a space station near the end would be the destination. Okay. So it's like something on Earth connected through a giant cable to something in space that's probably being like dragged along by the cable? Or it's like, do you just have to have it do the math so that the cable is always at a certain level of slack relative to how fast the thing was already naturally going to orbit? This is too much math. There's a reason why I'm not into astrophysics, and it's because it's far too much math. I wanted to be an astronaut when I was a kid, so the idea of space travel, space elevators, and such is inspiring. Cool. I'm super glad that you feel that way. It's interesting that I'm having an opposite reaction to that, especially because, again, I've been watching a shit ton of videos about Star Trek. And, like, we've been watching we watched Star Trek, and then now we're watching Star Wars, Andor, for the podcast. I don't know, it's so weird. The cable has to be incredibly long and held taut, so it doesn't just crash down. Okay, yeah, so it has to be extremely precise. Okay, the cable is literally pulling the space station around the Earth, and it's exactly far enough that the centripetal force on the station comes to exactly 1 Earth gravity. Oh, okay, fascinating. For this to work, the cable would be so long that if there was a crash, it would be absolutely cataclysmic. Right, it would be like a fucking asteroid hitting the planet, right? Like, if something that large in orbit, like, crashed to the Earth, it would have the same impact, like, the same devastating impact on the Earth life thing that we like to do. I still want to be an astronaut because I want to be launched into the void away from people. Relatable content. Oh, or do you just mean that, like, if the thing crashed to the Earth, the cable would smash things across the distance in a way that would be cataclysmic? Like, it would bring down power lines and, like, cut people in half and, like, destroy buildings? Oh, man, I hadn't even thought of that. The cable itself would have to be incredibly lightweight, so probably not. But at a certain velocity, it does not matter how much it weighs. Like, at a certain velocity, like, it must be strong. So it's going to be made of some kind of metal, probably. And it has to be resistant to friction and shit like that, and like the tension pulling on it. So it has to be super strong, which means, yeah, if there were a crash, like, let's say, whatever, it's however many miles long, there was a crash over here, like, this thing is falling and the Earth is still spinning away from it, so it's pulling that cord taut. And then, like, yeah, when that thing hits, if it hits with the cord still pulled completely taut, it's gonna be like that scene in the beginning of that one movie. What was that one movie called? It's like Ghost Ship, not games. Fuck you, God, stop auto. I feel like I don't want there to ever be autofill on a Google search. Ghost Ship 2002. Did you ever see this movie? Right at the beginning of the movie, there's a scene where a cable whips through the air and cuts a bunch of people in half and cuts off their legs and stuff. Except for one little girl, because she's shorter than the cable, flipping across everywhere. Here's a fun idea for a sci-fi story: life after the crashing of a space elevator. Love that. Love that. Anyway, this is like fun sci-fi stuff that I it's like, I mean, it's sci-fi, but it's also like speculative science actually. And it's just like a little bit beyond my ability to really understand, beyond it being just like, oh, that's a cool concept. I would definitely read an Ursula Le Guin story about that. But that's just about all. That's about all I've got. Man, you guys, okay, I posted on the posts channel on my YouTube channel, like, hey, what should I watch? My Mulan video is taking too long and I need to do something else to just react to it, and like go. And people are like, you should watch Nimona. But my partner let his Netflix account lapse. So we don't have Netflix. Y'all keep recommending Netflix shit to me, and it's like the only fucking platform I don't have. I guess I also don't have Paramount Plus. I had it for a minute to watch the Star Trek movies, but I don't still have it. But like I pay for HBO, Disney, Hulu, and yet it's not good enough. Y'all are like, watch this Netflix exclusive. I'm like, ugh. Nimona's amazing. I watched it off my brother's Plex. Yeah, well, it's not on any of the Plex. Okay, I have access to like 2 Plex servers, and only one of them do I actually have access to, and they don't have Nimona. Seriously, if you like this topic and sci-fi, watch Foundation. It is on Apple Plus. Oh yeah, I forgot Apple Plus had their own thing too. Sinners. Guys, like, we need to keep it relatively within the queer realm. For at least another couple months, I'm going to try to exclusively react to queer movies or like queer readings of movies and stuff. We're still trying to help the channel transition into movies, so we got to still keep it queer related for a little bit. I just got here. Has anyone recommended But I'm a Cheerleader? It's on YouTube, possibly free. Yeah, But I'm a Cheerleader, I'm certain is on my list. I don't think it was really recommended recently, but that one is queer related somehow. Oh yeah, I looked up this one before because I was like, damn, it has Melanie Lynskey in it, and I fucking love her. Oh yeah, so she goes to a conversion therapy camp, what, to cure her lesbianism? Oh, her parents decide she's gay, but that doesn't mean she is gay. Is she actually gay? Okay, anyway. Apple has some really good shit, like For All Mankind. I'm just so annoyed that I have to subscribe to every fucking package of, you know, like, man. Yes, exactly. We're transitioning into queer movies. You get it. My channel is trans. We need to help her realize her true calling of talking about movies and shit. Canopy is available via many libraries. Oh, okay, that's a good point. Maybe I should check that out. But I did finally figure out, I got over my stumbling block in my script for Mulan. So I do think I'll be able to start making progress on that. I had writer's block. I was hung up on, like, how do I transition into this next section that I'm trying to talk about? And I've just decided to make it really awkward. Yeah, we've reinvented cable with all these fucking streaming services, but it's like more expensive. It's $30 a month for the HBO, Hulu, Disney Plus. It's really annoying. Yeah, so that's what's coming up. I do think maybe I'll do a little James Somerton video. I think I'll go ahead and post that like Friday this week so that there's, you know, something at least familiar to the viewers. And a little drama video typically does pretty well, you know. Nothing's ever gonna beat James Somerton fakes his own death, though. We can get a James Somerton... how are we gonna title this one? I don't know. James Somerton plagiarizes wedding photos or something? I don't know. James Somerton... can't do anything legit? I don't know. I'll have to workshop that a little bit. So yeah, I'm probably gonna go ahead and do that tomorrow. I'm gonna work on the Mulan script again. Nimona is like the #1 thing everybody keeps recommending, but I'm like, fuck. So it's like, I guess I'll get like I'll pay for Netflix for a month and then cancel it and like fucking watch it. I don't know. Yeah, James Somerton again. He apparently tried to become a wedding photographer and also plagiarized his entire portfolio and claimed to have been a wedding photographer for 15 years. This news actually came out in April, but I only just saw it, so I'm gonna treat it like it's brand new. Is James Somerton even his original name? Yeah, he just he subsumed someone else's identity. That would be so fucking crazy. But I would not be surprised. I would be like, whoa! But man, I'm not surprised. I believe it. I believe it. Oh gosh. Yeah, no Takis tomorrow. Actually, let me see if we know anything about next week's schedule yet. Probably not, but maybe. Oh, what's going on? Oh man. Where? What? Man, there's a lot of activity going on in the Line Discord server right now. August. Like, okay, I know that I'm not on Takis next week either. That's all. That's literally like all that's in the schedule for next month. Is like, next week you're gonna have Arden and Ben on the Transatlantic call-in show. I don't know who it is this week either. But yeah, I just realized like, oh, on Sunday, or even Monday or Tuesday, like, I would probably want to know if I'm gonna be on those first couple days for some reason. Anyway, super duper good to see everybody today. I guess between now and then you can expect to see me on Sunday. The next couple days, I'm just gonna work on stuff that's not streaming and not in a public appearance of some kind. So wish me luck on finishing my fucking Mulan script, hopefully in the next couple of days. Thank you for the 66 likes on the stream today. Thank you for the couple of people who donated. I hope that everybody gets their rent paid on time. And yeah, I'm gonna go now and rest my voice and chill. So, thanks for hanging out. Be good. Or at least don't get caught. And I'll see you next time. Bye!